Wah. Hello, chat! Hello, Brother Doom! Hello, James Craig! Hello, Nimby! Hello, typing! Hello! Welcome in. Very short load screen today. Chat! This is not what I was planning to do today, okay? I was gonna play Skyrim today with the crowd control, like I owe you guys. I think I'm just gonna have to do that tomorrow. But I was watching this video, right? Because it caught my interest, and I was like, I want to see this. I haven't seen the Nick Shirley video yet. I didn't know that this happened. Apparently, this happened like Nick Shirley put this video like 5 days ago. I've been living under a rock, chat. And I got about halfway. I got 20 minutes in, chat. And after 5 long-winded comments, I was like, I should just make I should just stream my reaction to this. The Cuba vid? Yeah, good chance he could have died from it. Yeah, honestly, yeah. But, very risky shit. But yeah, and there's just, like, I'm halfway through it, and Asmon keeps getting things wrong, and there's stuff that, like, is being talked about in the video that's being, like, mistranslated in the text. And I also just had, you know, neat little tidbits of information. Like, this guy's a priest, chat. But he's not your typical priest. He's a santero. And I'll get more into that later. But, I want to start at the beginning, and then we can watch the rest of this for the first time together. I was gonna just react just to the Nick Shirley video, but I just happened to be watching the Asmon video, and I kind of trust Asmon to curate out the best parts of the video that are actually worth talking about. And he got things wrong that I want to explain. So that's why we're doing this, chat, because I was like, nuh-uh, he got this wrong, and he got that wrong, and I was just like, just fuck it. For anyone that doesn't know, chat, I myself am of Cuban diaspora, as they would say. I am what a certain Turkish fuck would call a Miami Cuban, an evil Miami Cuban. Both my parents were Cuban. They immigrated here, and they had me. And I was born in the US, so I'm American. Title's slightly misleading, I guess. But, I did grow up going to Cuba before, you know, the economic crash. Last time I went to Cuba was 8 years ago? Holy fuck, time flies. I said I would try to go more often, and look at that. Yeah, last time I went to Cuba was in 2018. Have your parents seen this vid? No, my parents are not, like, logged into the internet. My dad is a very, very, very hardworking, tire shop guy. He runs tire shops in Miami. And my mom's, well, my mom. But, just to give some context, chat, I obviously grew up, so my parents split when I was really young. My father figure throughout my life was my grandfather, and my grandfather has seen shit. My grandfather was there for the revolution. He was like a kid, like a teenager. Right? My grandfather saw the rise and fall. My grandfather went to prison for 5 years. Because in Cuba, right, under the communist regime, under Castro's regime, you are mandated as a man when you become a young adult, right? When you hit 18, you know, 19, 20, etc., right? When you're around that age, right, you're supposed to actually serve the Cuban military. But it is, like, frowned upon. At least it used to be, I don't know today. But, it was very, very frowned upon to actually serve. The punishment for not serving was 5 years. My grandfather served 5 years in prison for essentially for his political beliefs, for disagreeing with the regime, for not wanting to serve the regime. My uncle did the same. Both my grandpa and my uncle have seen prison time in Cuba, right, for their political beliefs. My grandfather was not able to go back to Cuba to see his mom before she died, because he had a reasonable fear that if he went back, he would be imprisoned for essentially violating his exile. Just to give an idea, right? Like, I grew up talking to my grandpa. This is the man that, to me, is like my father figure. So I know a thing or two about how this shit works. I've been around the block. I've eaten a cat before. It's crazy. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and just start this shit. Base grandpa and uncle, yeah. Obviously, like, a lot of people will just... Is your grandpa still with us? Yes, he is actually still with us. I'm praying. I'm not religious, chat, but I pray that my grandpa gets to live to see the Cuban communist regime fall. I really, really do. He doesn't think it will. He actually has zero hopes that it will. I can explain why later. But yeah. My grandpa's so, like, hardcore anti-commie. My grandpa refuses to wear olive green. And if he sees you wearing olive green, he will fucking criticize you for it. And tell you that it's ugly. Alright? My grandpa hates when he sees Cuban flags on buildings because he just can't help but, like, feel that, communism completely tarnished the Cuban identity. And so he just does not want to associate with it at all. My grandpa, he has American flags hanging from his fucking car windows. He put a giant American flag on our house. Like, that's the kind of person my grandpa is, alright? My grandpa chose to go to prison for 5 years over serving the military for only 2. Okay? Because to him, that would be like... He'd literally rather die. He'd literally rather die. Fun fact, as well, my grandpa hates black people. But the reason why he hates black people is specifically because my grandpa had an adopted older brother who was black who joined the Cuban military. And because of that, he thinks all black people are traitors. It's very funny. Understandable. I want to bug ya and try to make a video of them watching this. I won't be able to. My grandpa lives in Miami still, and I do not. My grandpa lives 12 hours away. And the time that we spend together is pretty precious. I wouldn't, sit him down and have him talk about this. Besides, I don't think he'd say anything that people here wouldn't already say. And again, I could just tell you, because me and him talk about this stuff, like, every now and then, over the phone. But, yeah. Anyways, let's get into this video.
Cuba is apparently a total shithole. It is awful. And
True.
People living there are living in total, absolute poverty. And Nick
True.
Shirley went to Cuba to try to raise awareness to this, and another country that has been the victim of communism.
True.
What percentage of people do you think are suffering here in Cuba?
La mayoría.
The majority.
La mayoría.
What's your thoughts on communism? ¿Qué piensas de comunismo?
The worst thing to ever exist is communism.
He said the worst thing to ever exist in life is what he said.
Because in reality, no one
None
is
of
a
the gas
communist.
stations are even in operation right now because there's quite literally no gas.
And we stand out like sore thumbs here, so they're wondering why we're here with cameras, interviewing people. They want to know what's happening and what people are saying. That's why people are not talking to us much.
They're asking why are we trying to leave the hotel early.
They want to talk to us.
Cuba right now is facing one of the largest humanitarian crises in
this guy?
the world.
Nick
Cuba's
Shirley? Yeah,
government
he's
is a
great.
one-party
There he is.
communist-ruled country, and they are facing massive food shortages, daily blackouts, and a lack of medicine. And right now, a U.S. blockade is restricting oil and gas from coming inside of the country. With communism and socialism on the rise in the West, I wanted to see what life in communism is really like.
Well, the reason why communism and socialism is on the rise in the West, one of the big reasons is we keep importing people from communist and socialist
Wrong! That's not why.
countries. We need to send them to fuck back.
Chat, any of you that have ever met a Cuban or a Vietnamese person, chat, you know that they are the most, like, extremely, like, America-pilled people in the entire fucking world. because they have lived through communism. They know what communism is like, right? Anyone who's lived in Cuba, last several decades can tell you what it's like to stand in line all morning to fucking get a little piece of bread and a single egg to be your diet for the entire fucking day. That's all you get for the entire day, and you have to spend the entire first several hours of your day lining up along with everyone else in your fucking community, everyone else in your neighborhood. You all have to line up behind a fucking government truck, right, and wait all day just to get your little piece of food. And if you don't get there early enough, they might just run out before you get there. They don't have a head count. Plenty of socialists live in our country, yes. And the actual problem, chat, is not the Cubans and Vietnamese people you bring in from these countries. Because they're not coming in and being like, wow, America's awesome, let me ruin it. All right, they're not like Muslims, okay? The actual problem, chat, is rooted in our fucking school system. That's where the problem is. Because you have all of these, wannabe fucking, academics trying to explain to you why communism in theory would be fantastic, but the problem is, but just human nature. But, if we can all get past that and be compassionate, all this bullshit sympathy nonsense is the actual fucking problem, chat. And then, to exacerbate that problem, the people that are listening to these fucking morons are the people that go to college, go to university, and they think they're being educated, right? We see college and university as quote-unquote higher education, right? And when you have a fucking diploma in your hand that tells you that you're educated, you tend to believe that you're fucking educated, when in reality, right? To quote a Cuban saying, el papel aguanta lo que le pongas, which means the paper holds whatever you put on it, right? Just because a paper says that you're educated does not mean that you are. The reality is these people are completely misinformed. Completely horrifically misinformed, right? Education? Nah. Indoctrination? Yeah, exactly. As Millet put it, Departamento de Educación, indoctrinamiento. Afuera! Right? That's exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. And, it sucks because you have literally half of the country believes that because they live in these fucking cities, because they go to these fancy universities, right, that they know better. And they won't try to argue over Cuban people. They'll tell you that, Miami Cubans are dumb and stupid and they don't know. That's not what it is, right? You know what your professor who's never stepped foot in fucking Cuba in their entire fucking lives told you. I know what I've experienced firsthand when I go visit family. I know what I hear from family over phone calls whenever they can afford to go to the fucking, to the local park and pay for internet. Right? That's what I know. It just seems fucking obvious, right? Socialism is gay. Real! It's worse than gay. It's communist. Gays are at least people. Anyways, that's the actual problem with, the actual reason why we have communism so much in the West is because we give them the opportunity to fucking grow it. And communism, as I'll explain a little later, is a really easy idea to sell to midwits. It's incredibly easy to sell it to someone who doesn't think past the immediate.
That's what I think.
Cuba has been living underneath communism for over 60 years. Upon arrival, I completed all required documents.
We're close to 70 years, chat. We're close to 70 years of Cuba being under communism.
Had received a visa for journalistic activity. However, once I landed, all my camera gear was seized, and within 24 hours, I was planning my escape out of Cuba after their intelligence followed me all day, and a 2-star general came searching for me at the hotel.
That is insane.
Now let's go see the reality of Cuba and eventually plan our escape out of
Midwest ruin everything, and our #1 useful idiots correct.
Cuba.
Holy shit.
Where are the people at? ¿Dónde está la gente? No hay nadie aquí en la calle. No hay nadie
I was surprised by Nick Shirley's Spanish. It's actually pretty good.
aquí en estas casas. ¿Dónde está la gente?
The problem is that there's no gasoline. It's not easy to move.
I do have to say, one of the best ironies of all of this is the fact that Nick Shirley seems to be more fluent in Spanish than he is in English. It's so fucking funny.
We have a lot of limitation for work.
None of the gas stations are even in operation right now because there's quite literally no gas. When the United States captured Maduro,
yeah, they have literally no fuel coming in. Trump has threatened tariffs on Mexico and Canada and all these places, and obviously for places that they can't put tariffs on, we have a literal like sea blockade around Cuba. We are currently employing the maximum pressure, not the maximum pressure possible. We could press more, but we are currently employing pretty close to maximum pressure in terms of siege warfare on Cuba. The only thing that's missing is that, and this, by the way, I'll tell you guys when I've talked about something with my grandpa, and my grandpa has agreed with me, and when he has disagreed with me as well. You guys can get some, additional perspective from an older Cuban who actually lived through this shit for most of his life. But they ran out yesterday? Yeah, they're out. They're out of gas. They're out. They have none coming in, right? They have no gas coming in. La Presidenta of Mexico, right? Fucking stupid Jew bitch, right? She doesn't have a choice but to listen to us because her entire economy, right? Or at least the part of it that isn't criminal, is completely dependent on trade with the US. Without it, her economy's fucked. It's completely fucked, right? And she knows that, so we can essentially strong-arm her that way, right? But what we're not blocking from getting into Cuba, right, and this is a big part of the problem, is we're not blocking shipments of food. We're not blocking shipments of medicine. We're not blocking shipments of, really, really important survival goods, right? We're not blocking all humanitarian aid, right? We're only blocking oil, which needs to change. And the reason why it needs to change, right, is because none of those goods are actually reaching the Cuban people, chat. This is the case scenario all over the world. Wherever you try to send money to, this always happens. This is the reason why Africa's still a shithole. This is the reason why all the money that, gets sent to the children in Palestine or whatever the fuck, right? This is the reason why Hamas is buying mansions and shit, okay? This is the reason why this shit always happens the way it happens, okay? Whenever you send money to a foreign country, chat, whenever you send goods to a foreign country, whenever you send... Hey, Casriel! What's up, dude? Sorry. That's my IRL friend. Whenever you guys send... whenever our country sends any sort of goods to any war-torn, shithole fucking country, local militia, right? Communist government, right? The terrorist organization in control of that area, right? They always... Local warlords in Africa, right? They always take care of those packages first. They receive those packages. Why? If they don't receive those packages, they don't know what's in it. They don't know what you could be arming their people with. They have to intercept those packages for the sake of security. They have to. Now, what do you think happens when these guys, who are bad people, intercept these packages of food and goods that are supposed to be for their populace, and they're things that they themselves, as militants, need to continue their efforts? What do you think happens, chat? What do you think happens with all those goods? The people don't see a fucking dime of it. They don't see any of it. None of it. Whenever you send money to... They sell it, correct. Whenever you send money to Palestine, you're just sending shit to Hamas. Whenever you send shit to fucking, to fucking Africa, all the millions, billions of dollars we have sent to Africa, warlords take those things, they keep it, they sell it, but the only way that the people get it, I will give you the one example that I know of in exact detail, okay? In Cuba, there are markets that are owned and ran by the government. They're owned by the government's military branch, which owns, I think, 40% of literally the entire country's everything, right? Just the military branch, not the entire government, just the military branch owns 40% of all the businesses, of everything in Cuba. Okay? When they receive these packages of humanitarian aid from Canada, from, Mexico, right? From these places that are allied with us, and we allow them through our fucking blockade to drop off these goods that are verified and checked to not contain oil at all, those goods are then sold at these military-owned markets for US dollars. That is what happens to these goods. They're not distributed among the people. That is not what happens. That's never what happens. Okay?
Squeak.
Every single one of those fucking dollars end up in these, not these dollars, of like this food, this medicine, all this stuff that's like life-saving shit that they need. Right? The flotilla's going to Gaza. They can't be taken and sold. They can absolutely be stolen, intercepted. Yeah, absolutely. It always happens. It always happens. Thing is, those billions of dollars don't account for actual real human interaction. Absolutely take cash and physical assets. But something like Doctors Without Borders, yeah, I guess that can maybe help. But again, at the end of the day, even doctors are oftentimes forced to just help the militants, right? They're essentially just kept around. But again, in the case of Cuba, very specifically, all these goods end up in these markets where they're then sold to the people that can afford them for US dollars, which I think Nick Shirley goes over the value of a US dollar in this video relative to Cuban money to give you an idea, right, of how fucking insane it is that they sell these things to their own people for US dollars. Essentially taking every opportunity they can to milk away the money that, Cubans in Miami, the diaspora, send to their family members so they can afford basic goods and survive. And, well, typically they actually send it for the sake of paperwork so they can come to the US. Cuba has a history of essentially having a release valve, right? They actually let people escape all the time, purposely. Because they know that if they let the most, aggressive, upset people escape, they can avoid a revolt because those people are no longer in their country. So they're always releasing a little bit of pressure and then closing the valve. Releasing a bit of pressure, closing the valve. They'll let a few people out and they'll close it. Right? In Cuba, right, years back in the 90s, they had a program called El Bombo, which was a lottery. Essentially, if you were a Cuban during those years, right, you could drop your name into a hat, and if you got chosen, right, you would get the fast pass to get your visa to the US. Fun fact, this is actually how my mother came to the US. She literally won the lottery, unironically. That's how my mom came to the US. She won the lottery to get a fucking Visa card to fucking come to the US. She didn't sign up for it. Her family did. Her family signed her up for it. They signed everyone in the family for it. Like, one of her cousins signed up literally everyone. My mom ended up winning it. But yeah, like, that, they do this all the time, where they try to, like, let a few people out just to, keep the pressure from getting crazy. Right? Anyways, let's continue.
The main supplier of gas and oil was
Venezuela.
shut off. So the country right now has hardly any.
By the way, I said I was going to tell you this what my grandpa thinks. I did talk about this with my grandpa. My grandpa believes that Cuba simply has, it's too rooted in. The government is too rooted in the country, and there's just no way to remove it. Right? If we send troops, it's just fucking Vietnam. It's all jungle. Right? And the Cuban militants, they know how to run their shit. They might not have all the best tech, right? But it will just be Vietnam. And there's a non-zero chance we actually legitimately lose. Or at the very least, we lose enough assets that, we would be forced to pull out, essentially. We would be heavily incentivized to pull out, for the sake of, not having more losses. And then, my grandpa essentially believes that as long as we continue to allow any sort of aid into Cuba, it will continue to stay the same. Because the government will continue to leech off of its people and the stuff that's sent for its people. Our own country's just way too fucked. Help yourself before you can help others. Correct. I agree with you, Azrael. 100% agree with you.
Need gas, and if you do want to get gas, you have to wait in a line from the government. The guy that we're in our taxi with right now, he said he His position to get gas is 1,200 in line. And
1,200 in line. Yeah, chat. The same way that they're like dispersing a little bit, like little bits of gas, they're selling to people. They're still selling it, by the way. They're not like, you know, they're not giving this gasoline away. They're still selling this gasoline, chat.
And gas from the government costs around
$1,200 in line, and it's $4 a gallon.
Yeah, that's fucking insane, chat. Chat, this is what gasoline costs right now where I live in America. Surprised he even got any taxis while he was there? Well, I'm not surprised, James, because you have to remember, a big part of Cuba's income is tourism. Remember when gas is cheaper in Cuba than it is in the States? Well, it should be cheaper. They don't have money. They don't have money. But we'll get into, you know, this $4 per gallon in Cuba is fucking insane. And this is specifically if you wait in line with literally the entire country to try to get some gasoline. Right? Cuba's like Vietnam, where they know tactics the U.S. military doesn't. It's not that they necessarily know tactics, it's that they have a really severe, really strong home advantage, right? Where, well, like, you know, a lot of Cuba is dense jungle and mountains, chat. That's what Cuba is. It's dense jungle and mountains. It's literally Vietnam. But anyways, yeah, that's an insane fucking price. You're literally waiting all day just for the chance to buy some gasoline, right? The reason why he was able to get taxis, James, is because the taxis are for the most part owned by the government, right? They're all for tourism for the most part. And tourism is one of the ways that the Cuban government makes money. It's actually one of the main ways that they make money, is they get, you know, foreigners to come in, they treat them nice, they make them, you know, pretend like everything's great, right? It's like almost like North Korea, right? Where like if you go to North Korea, right, they'll have like literal actors walking around the street to pretend like everything's good, right? And this is how you sounds like North Korea exactly. This is like great example, right? That fucking stupid Turk, what the fuck's his name again? Hassan, right? Hassan goes to Cuba and tells you that everything's great, everything's fantastic. Why? Why? Because that's all he's fucking allowed to tell you. All that he's allowed to tell you, and he is a piece of shit who will happily lie about the reality, right? To fucking, you know. He interviewed people in Cuba, and what did those people say? They said all these great things and how America's terrible and blah 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 blah. Why? Because his son went and stayed in a fucking government hotel. That's why. He stayed in a fucking government hotel. He had a government escort the entire time he was fucking there. Because that's the only way that you're actually allowed to fucking record video as a fucking, like, you know, as a tourist. That you're actually allowed to interview people. That's the only way that you're actually allowed to do those things. They monitor everything because they have to. There's very little genuine information coming out of Cuba. Because if they don't monitor it, the illusion falls. The facade falls. And obviously, any chance for good, you know, good PR, or rather good propaganda, right? They're going to accept. So of course they were like, yeah, Hassan, you can use a huge boatload of our remaining power to host a concert with all these fucking retarded ass Irish hippies, right? Yeah, Hassan, yeah, absolutely. You can go around and, you know, literally throw food on the ground for children like you're feeding birds. Yeah, that'll be a great look. We have loads of food here. Everything's fine. Oh, the power? They don't mind the lack of power. It's the island mentality. It's the party mentality. Bro, I swear to God. When I saw, like, Hassan's footage on this, it, like, boiled my fucking blood. It boiled my fucking blood. Sam Hyde cannot go to his house and kill him soon enough. Anyways. Continue.
And that's Cuba.
$1, but gas, if you were to buy it on the black market, costs $10 per liter. That's $40 per gallon. If you're
Yeah. That's the actual price of gas for anyone who doesn't want to wait in line all day. It's $40 a gallon, chat. $40 a gallon in the black market. That's the only consistent way for you to get gas. If you don't want to spend literally all day in line.
Oh my
gas
God.
here in Cuba. Before they captured Maduro, was there gasoline in the gas
Jesus.
stations?
Always.
The only thing worse than a socialist is a champagne socialist. They're all champagne socialists, Brother Doom. Here's the thing. Socialists and communists are always one of two things. They're either liars or they're ignorant. There's no in between. They're either literally don't fucking know or they're a fucking liar. That's it. That's it.
Easy. Nowadays it's really bad. But it was easy to get gasoline.
And for you,
Every day you can go to the gasoline station and
Yeah,
buy
because they had all the
normally.
gasoline
It was
coming in
normal. But nowadays,
from Venezuela, right? Cuba, right, would trade with Venezuela. Venezuela would get, militants and army men to come and help them maintain their regime, right? The reason why Venezuela is, or was, communist, right? The reason why Venezuela had Chavismo, why they got, Chavez in there, was because Fidel helped them. That's literally the only reason. Like, Cuba made Venezuela communist. And they put them in there. And it was literally just for the resources. Because Cuba itself doesn't produce oil. Not really. They have refineries, but they don't have, they don't have a source of oil.
really bad.
Did Hassan tell us Cuba's awesome? Well, he got let into Cuba so he could do propaganda for them. They're literally you have a lot of Westerners that are literally cooperating with authoritarian communist governments that suppress and kill their own people in order to try to own the United States.
Chat, my wife's retarded ass fucking brother the other day was, they were talking about the No Kings movement and how they arrested that one chick in a dick costume, right? And he was saying how he didn't like that movement. He didn't like that, that whole thing because they did it when everyone was out of work. They did it on a weekend, right? They made sure that everyone was out of work for the thing. When they were supposed to be as disruptive as possible is the point, right? I explained, I was like, you're fucking retarded, right? If you want to protest, you protest the things you're actually protesting. You don't protest the people, because otherwise the people you just make them go against you. Why would the people side with, the protesters who are trying to stop them from feeding their families over, the government who's giving them jobs and making it easier for them to feed their family? Are you retarded? Are you fucking retarded? And he's like, oh no, we need to be more aggressive, we need to get back on our Che Guevara shit. And I was just like, do you understand how fucking retarded you have to be? Do you understand how fucking retarded you have to be? To say, you know what we need for our no dictators protest? For our no kings protest? We need to be like the guy that literally instated a dictator into Cuba. That's what we gotta be like. That's the level of retardation these people function on, chat. You cannot fix these people. You cannot. I'm amazed how straightforward these people are. They tell Nick how it is with no care for who hears them. I wouldn't say that. You're gonna see. You're gonna see this. A lot of people in Cuba, when they see that you're holding a camera and a microphone, a lot of them are cautious. Not all of them, but a lot of them are cautious. Right?
está sobreviviendo la gente aquí en Cuba.
Just imagine the reality of it with 1,000.
I think he voiced over this one because he's kind of far away from the guy. But this is one of the things I hated about Hassan videos, is voicing over people talking. Because I don't know what this man's actually saying. And from the translations, there was a few things that were mistranslated throughout this video, throughout the first half that I watched. And, I like to be able to actually give a proper translation on these things, and I can't if it's just voiced
Sacrifices
over.
and 1,000 daily struggles. The average Cuban citizen is the one really going through absolute hell here in this country.
It's so interesting being here in Cuba.
But yeah, I have no idea what the fuck that guy actually said. I couldn't hear him. So take Nick's translation with a grain of salt. Some of the subtitles that he's put in are slightly wrong. They get the gist across, but they're slightly wrong.
Because everything is just like empty. It's almost very like North Korea-like when you come into a massive plaza. There's not even cars. Like,
there's nothing there at all. Yeah.
The people co-opting a movement is so annoying because they try to warp a movement to fit their own narrative rather than what the purpose is for. Yeah.
You can't even hear a car in sight, and they have all of this other portraits of people and past leaders of Cuba. Yet there's hardly anyone even here.
Oh my
God. It's very strange here. They're saying that this is even more quiet than during COVID, during the pandemic. Less people are even
Just want to go back.
And they have all of this other portraits of people and past leaders.
Yeah, Che Guevara, obviously.
Leaders of Cuba. Yet there's hardly anyone.
I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be Marx. If I'm not mistaken, this is supposed to be Karl Marx, and they put a fucking, like, halo over his head. Like he's some sort of saint.
Even here.
Oh my
it's
God.
Very strange here. They're saying that this is even more quiet than during.
That might be supposed to be Castro, but I don't think so. Because Castro, to my memory, wasn't bald?
During COVID, during the pandemic. Less people are even leaving the streets than during the pandemic. That's how bad the crisis is right now. And the Cuban people simply just don't have money.
What would it take to take down Cuba, I wonder? Strangulation. That's what it would take. Just complete strangulation. No resources into the island. No more tourism money. Right? Just total blockade is what it would take. It would take complete air superiority, so no more flights are getting in with tourists. It would take complete naval, superiority, which we already kind of have. But, like, total blockade. And here's the thing, right? Like, oh, but what about the people? The people will starve. Ah, blah, 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 blah. They can handle it. They can handle it. No, that's shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, Castro. I love you, but you're fucking wrong. Shut the fuck up. It would not damage the innocent citizens. They can fucking handle it. They can fucking handle it. And the problem with why it cannot be fixed is because everyone's trying to be so sympathetic towards the people that are hardier than people realize. They can fucking handle it. No sympathy, no empathy. They will be okay. They've dealt with fucking hurricanes. They've dealt with fucking, with a shoddy power grid literally forever, right? These people, you see all these cars on the street, these like really ancient cars, these literally like 70-year-old fucking cars that are driving around, right? You don't see those working in the US very often, and yet Cuba has tons of them because the people are adaptable, all right? They adapt to their environment. They're machinists. They figure out a way to get things done, right? They figure out a way to get things done, but you're wrong. The population won't totally die out, but there will be deaths, elderly, on medicine, sick children. There'll be casualties. There's already casualties. They don't have medicine anyway, Casriel. They don't have those things. And again, the shipments that are arriving are not getting to these people anyway. The only people benefiting from all these things are not the people of Cuba. It's the government. They're the only ones that are actually receiving this medication, all these goods. So no, I'm not wrong. Those people are dying anyway. They're dying anyway. Cuba doesn't have medicine. They have great doctors, because to be a doctor in Cuba, you have to actually want to be a doctor. You have to actually give a shit about that. Because you get paid just as much as the plumber. You get paid just as much as, the fucking garbage man, right? If you're a doctor. So, no, you're still wrong, Casriel. Please don't argue with me about shit that you don't fucking know about. They're going to die anyway, because they don't have shit. They're already starving. They already don't have medicine. And us sending them shit that they're not going to receive anyway doesn't help. All it does is keep them under for longer. Which is why I'm saying, the only way that Cuba is going to ever be saved is if we completely cut off all flights, all naval entry, everything. Completely cut it off. That is the only way that it will ever survive, right? And my grandpa doesn't think that will ever happen, which is why my grandpa doesn't believe that the Cuban government will ever fall. He thinks that the US is going to give up before it gets to that point. He thinks that the US is too soft, and we're not going to actually push Cuba to the point where their leaders don't have a choice. Either give up and take a deal and fly to Russia so everyone can forget you fucking exist, or rule over an island of nothing but trees and bodies. That is the sort of ultimatum that we need to give the Cuban government. That's the ultimatum that they need in order for them to, take a deal and get the fuck out of there. We're not going to fight them militarily. We're not going to agree to go to prison. Even if Kaz's food got to those people, those people will be enabled to tolerate Cuba. Many nations take advantage of this fact. It's true. Are we giving Cuba an ultimatum to begin with? Why get involved when our own country is falling apart? That's fair. That is fair. If you want to take the full approach of let's not, in that case, let's not send them stuff either. If our country's falling apart, we don't need to send them shit. I agree. We don't have to send them shit. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying let's send them shit. I'm saying we don't send them shit. If we really want to fix Cuba, the way we fix it is we completely block it off and stranglehold the island until its leaders give up. That's all I'm saying. I'm not telling you that we should send the stuff to Cuba. That's not what I'm saying, Kazriel. I'm agreeing with you here. We shouldn't send them anything. And we should stop other people from sending them shit. Jin, I think Kaz really wants to debate you. Kazriel is an IRL friend of mine, Jet. He's an IRL friend of mine. I love Kazriel to bits. Love that man. But yeah, obviously, if your perspective is we shouldn't be involved with any nation or any country, we should just take care of ourselves, I agree. I agree we should take an 100% America first stance and take care of ourselves, right? But if we are going to be going into Cuba and trying to fix it, and we actually want to succeed, I'm saying that's what we need to do. Because the question that was asked of me was, what would it take to fix Cuba? That's the answer. A complete and total stranglehold. Nothing in, nothing out. An actual proper siege is what it would take to fix Cuba. Because we can't go in there. It's fucking Vietnam in there, okay? We would have casualties. The American people would disagree with it entirely, obviously, right? If you want to take care of Cuba without having a single American boot on Cuba, without firing a single fucking bullet, all you have to do is establish air superiority over Cuba's airspace, right? Establish complete naval dominance, and not let a single fucking person in or out of the island. And just like that. And now's the time to do it. They're completely out of resources. They're out. They've got nothing. But as long as we keep sending them goods, the military will continue to survive off of it.
And they also just do not have the resources like gasoline to be able to go out.
So nobody can even go
continue their
outside.
normal lives right now.
Holy
We
shit.
headed to a nearby hospital, and from
And
this
look at this place. It's a complete shithole. Oh my god, this is awful. Look at it.
All of these buildings have been here since the 50s, Jet.
moment on, we noticed we were being followed by Cuban police and their intelligence after the word got out. I was asking people about communism.
And also, by the way, to say that this is the United States' fault is like the most retarded thing that you can possibly say. The reason why The reason why it's this bad is because the government's making it this way. There's nothing about the United States that tells Cuba that they have to put people in jail for speaking out against the government. Cuba does that all by itself. So this concept that somehow Cuba would be some kind of coastal paradise as long as the United States didn't come in and ruin everything, this is pure libtard delusion slop.
To add to that, chat, the argument for why America is at fault for Cuba's state, right? The argument for that, for why America is at fault, is quote unquote, I shit you not, because we put an embargo on them. That's the argument for why. The reason why Cuba cannot function and has not advanced in over 60 years, okay? The reason why Cuba has had zero advancement is because communism cannot survive without leeching off of capitalism. The entire idea on paper for communism is, we'll just farm. We'll just farm, bro. We'll just make all of our own shit. We'll just work together. When it doesn't work that way. The entire world revolves around trade. You need to trade in order to fucking survive. That's why China and Russia survive, because they're not communist. They're communist in name, but they're not actually communist. Their countries regularly do trade. They allow their people to sell their goods in commerce globally. The people don't get the money for it. The government does. But that's kind of the point, right? Places like, like China and Russia. Me and Helton have talked about it on the podcast, Welcome to the Foxhole. But those countries essentially function like fascist countries. They're not actually communist. Fascism is how socialism and communism actually become something that can survive. They have to convert to socialism. It's not socialism. They have to fascism in order to survive. They have to take on some capitalistic ideas and, really enforce that authoritative nature over those capitalistic ideas, right? Whereas most governments, right, most capitalist countries kind of function from the ground up, right? As far as how money is made, right? It's kind of the other way around for those countries. But anyways, these companies believe they can magic their resources through the power of belief. Yeah, I'll get into it later. But the problem with communism is not human nature. That's wrong. It's completely wrong. It's not true. That's not what the actual problem is with communism.
Place is a shithole. It's a shithole ideologically. It's a shithole mechanically. And it's a shithole politically. It's a complete shithole. That's it. And if the thing is that if there was only one thing that they had wrong, which is like, for example, they were really poor, but everything else was okay, then I think you could make an argument that, well, maybe the U.S. is making things a lot worse for them. But the reality is that they're making things bad for themselves.
A communist country, there's no such thing as freedom of speech or freedom of the press. In fact, if you speak out against the current regime or against communism, your neighbor can then report you to an area inside of the neighborhood where the government or the police will then come after you, and you have the risk of being imprisoned for speaking out against the regime.
And what's the reality of living inside of communism? ¿Qué es la realidad de vivir en comunismo?
I mentioned before, both my grandfather and my uncle have both seen prison time in Cuba over their political beliefs. It's just the way it is.
Son presidentes todos.
They're presidents of everything. They're bosses of everything.
Así que funciona.
Hay mucha gente que está muriendo.
This is one of the things that I think is really funny, is that these people that are talking.
What they don't tell you is many of these services are being co-opted by foreigners who come to the U.S. to grift their resources and send money out of the nations. They also do not pay the taxes or underreport.
Talking about this is basically, like everything that they criticize Trump doing for being fascist, these countries do 10 times worse. There's no logic or reasoning for this at all.
Communismo.
Por eso mismo, porque no hay pastillas, no hay nada para darle a la gente.
It won't be.
Yeah. So what he says is that there's no like tablets, there's no pills, there's nothing to give people because the stuff that they're receiving, they don't see it. Again, it ends up in these government markets.
Your last message to the people about living life in communism.
Bueno.
When capitalism is replaced with communism, you remove the incentive for people to work hard. For 99% of their life is set and will never improve no matter what they do. Correct. Like there's no incentive to actually innovate. Nick Shirley goes over this in a minute.
El último mensaje que daré es que lo más malo que hay aquí en Cuba es el comunismo.
The worst thing in Cuba is communism. To live in communism is the worst thing now in Cuba.
El comunismo.
It's like a young guy, it's like a teenager.
To live in communism is the worst thing now in Cuba.
El comunismo.
Wow.
¿Y qué piensa ahora de su propio presidente?
What do you think about your president?
Bueno, yo
I don't think he's capable to be president.
No tiene la capacidad para ser presidente.
Damn. Because we are dying of hunger.
Si no trabajamos, nos morimos de hambre.
Yep.
And you
Brother-Dream donated $20. Berserk.
Thank you! Chat, we have a long way to catch up to weekly this week, unfortunately. Yesterday I had to go with Pei to her little brother's graduation, his elementary school graduation. He was so cute. There you go.
believe that it's the responsibility of the government to give food to the people? ¿Crees que es la responsabilidad del gobierno para dar comida a la gente?
Yep.
Sí.
They're the bosses
Porque
and
son los
support the
jefes,
people.
tienen que abastecer al pueblo.
¿Qué piensas?
So essentially what that guy was saying was that, like, essentially everything that's happening is the president's fault because, well, under communism, they're all supposed to be taken care of. They're all supposed to be receiving, goods, but they're not. They're all supposed to be receiving and being, they're being supported, but they're not. Essentially, communism isn't working, is what he's saying.
De lo que está haciendo Donald Trump con el...
What do you think about Trump letting oil or gas into the country?
Look at this guy's face over here. Look at this guy over here, his face.
Para entrar.
So this guy turned to him, and he's saying, like, bro, you answer him. Yes, you. I'm gonna answer him.
See, like, people are very scared to answer and even give questions and responses here because of communism. And because when you say communism, when they say that they control the food or they control the jobs, they also control the freedom of press here. So a lot of people aren't used to talking on camera. And ¿qué piensa eso de...
Yeah?
Que se cinga días Canel.
Fuck.
Yeah, so he's talking, and then he kind of, like, that's like what he thinks.
Of communism. And because when you say communism, when they say that they control the food or they control the jobs, they also control the freedom of press here. So a lot of people aren't used to...
This guy's asking if there's malanga to sell. Like essentially, like if there's food.
Talking on camera. And ¿qué piensa eso de...
Yeah?
Que se cinga días Canel.
Yeah, he literally just asked him, so like what do you think about... And this guy just said, que se cinga días Canel, which just means, that I hope the president gets fucked. Essentially, that I think that Diaz-Canel should get fucked, is what he said. He didn't say fuck Diaz-Canel. He said I hope he said that Diaz-Canel gets fucked.
Fuck.
That's what he
the
thinks.
President. That's the only thing he's trying to say.
Que se cinga días Canel.
Fuck. Security had noticed that two random individuals had appeared while we were doing these interviews, and they decided it was time to leave. So what happened while we were conducting some of those interviews?
I'll say there are probably some people who starved to death in the U.S., but not from a lack of access to food. Go to any church in any town and ask for food, and they will give you food. So at this point, I have both lived in a city for my entire life, pretty much, and for the last close to 2 years now, for the last year and a half, I have lived out in a rural town in Alabama. okay? I grew up in Miami, born and raised, lived my entire life in Miami, okay? I've seen shit, I've experienced shit. I lived 2 blocks away from Brownsville, okay? And, you know, I know what that's like, right? I know what it's like to not be able to really afford food, okay? My household, right, when I was living in Miami, had 7 people, okay? It was my mom, stepdad, my grandma, my grandpa. Brownsville? Yeah. Brownsville is a little city, right? So Miami is obviously like the larger city, right? But around Miami, connected to Miami, there's lots of smaller cities in what is known as the Miami-Dade County, essentially, right? Brownsville is a small city that is right next to it's to the east of Hialeah. Hialeah is where all the Cubans live. It's like the little Cuban ghetto, right? Brownsville is where all the black people live. You literally cross a train tracks, right, to get to Brownsville. And once you cross those train tracks, it's like a whole different world, okay? There's paint on buildings, right? There's places locked up. There's all sorts of shit. But that's the point. I know what it's like to live in a big city. I know what it's like to live in, you know, in these ghettos, right? I've had guns pointed at me, okay? I've been stabbed, right? So, I know what that's like. I know what that's like. And now that I'm living out here, I have an idea of what this is like. And out here, in the country, absolutely. Me and Pei had a month, right, near the end of last year, where we were really struggling, right? We were really struggling, right? We didn't really want to get help from Pei's parents, because we don't like, you know, mooching off of them, right? We accept some help from them here and there, because we've been helping them as well lately, right? And so we try to help each other as a family. This is the one situation where communism actually works, by the way, chat. Anyways. But a few months back, last year, we were pretty tight. And we ended up actually going to one of the local, like, food drives. And getting some food. Because we were just fucked. We were completely fucked. Right? I think that's around when I had to pay my taxes last year, I think. When it was. I can't remember exactly. But that was the thing that happened. That was the thing that happened. And out here in the country, abso-fucking-lutely, people help each other all the time. Right? It is, like, I don't understand, chat. When Pei came to visit me in Miami, there were little habits that to me were normal, that to Pei were, like, insanely extreme. Right? When you park somewhere in Miami and you have bags in your car, you don't just leave them out. You put a blanket over them, or you put them against the door so they're harder to see when you look through the window. Right? You do things so that people don't break into your car to steal your shit. Okay? You don't leave things out on your porch in Miami. Because if you do, it'll get fucking robbed. Okay? I've had bikes stolen, I've had all sorts of shit stolen from our front porch. My mom's house in Miami. Okay? It doesn't happen here. Before we moved here, I ordered a bunch of shit so that we can, you know, live here. And all that stuff, Pei wasn't even here. Pei was in another city packing her stuff so she could come over here. And that stuff sat outside in Amazon boxes, outside of our front door, which is in front of a major road. Our house doesn't have a fence, okay? Our house doesn't have a fence, chat. People walk across our lawn because there's no sidewalk between our lawn and the road, okay? And despite that, not a single fucking package was stolen in almost a full week. It was like 4 days that those packages sat outside of our front door. Not one package was stolen, chat. That is incredible. That is completely incredible. People don't starve out here, because people help each other out here, right? Every now and again we have stuff that we don't really care about. We have clothes and stuff that we give away, that we're like, yeah, we're not really wearing this stuff, and people will just put it up on Facebook. And, you know, people be like, yeah, I could really use that for my kid, I'll drop by, whatever. Right? All the time there's people on Facebook being like, hey, I have this if anyone needs it. Hey, my chicken laid a bunch of eggs that hatched, and I don't really need all these chickens. If anyone wants free chickens, you can come get these free chickens. Right? Like, People out here help each other. There is like a level of trust that doesn't exist in cities. Why? Why is that the case? And it really just comes down to resources. This is the actual reason why communism doesn't work, chat. You can't... You can share resources among a few people, right? You can share resources among your friends, your family, your community maybe, if it's not a particularly big community. And there's enough resources to go around. But when you condense a bunch of people into a city that doesn't have enough resources for all those people, in order for some people to thrive, some people have to starve. That's just the way that works. There aren't enough resources for everybody. That's not to say that we don't have food drives in Miami. We don't have local churches and places that offer food, right? During COVID, we went to a lot of those places. Times were tough. And sometimes they helped us. Sometimes they had stuff to give. Canned goods, stuff like that, right? And people donate. People that are better off will donate, right? But sometimes they don't. Because there just isn't enough to go around. If you go after a certain hour, it really is just like Cuba. You go after a certain hour, and you wait in line for a little bit, and by the time it's your turn to get up there, there's nothing left. Sometimes you don't make it to the end of the line before you get sent home. And, that's kind of the issue. This is the reason why wherever you see, the most poverty across the US, wherever you see, the greatest wealth disparity is in cities. It's like every single time, those maps are the same map. Every single time, chat. Hey, Sculling, hold on. Hi, baby!
I'm so upset right now.
What's that, my love?
I was in such a good groove. I was getting my dog done in time.
I'm gonna mute.
I really finished half of her. Okay?
Okay.
And then she shit on herself.
Oh.
No warning, by the way.
Oh.
And she didn't crouch. So it's not like she just sat on my table. She sat all over herself.
Oh.
I'm gonna start over. I give her a bath. I'm blow drying her. She shits again. No squat, no barking to warn me, nothing. Just...
I'm sorry, baby.
And she shat all over my hand. Both those times.
Oh, baby. Can I get back to stream now? Chat's saying stupid dog. It's all your fault.
Evil fat fuck.
I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah!
Even though you're trying to leave me home.
Well, I'm currently streaming, baby. I'm talking to chat.
It's okay, I understand.
Mwah!
Bye.
Bye. Sorry, chat. Anyways. Population density and wealth disparity share a map, chat. That's what I was trying to get at. Right? They literally share the same map. And it's because you cannot cram population into a small area with a small amount of resources and expect things to go well. Just the way it works.
Right now, we were finishing one of the interviews. Some undercover cops, you could just tell they're undercover cops.
The idea that voluntary charity is communism is just false, in my opinion. I'll get into that.
They came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
They got on better used phones than
yeah, because charity is not voluntary in communism.
Average person here, and they were right away communicating with each other, and they were trying to corner us out, so that's why we had to get out of there.
Oh my God.
So you do have government spies going around making sure that certain things aren't said.
Of course, and we stand out like sore thumbs here, so they're wondering why we're here with cameras, interviewing people. They want to know what's happening and what people are saying. That's why people are not talking to us much.
And it's also, you don't ever see any videos come out of Cuba.
That's 100% why you don't see videos come out of Cuba. It's very limited, the videos that you see come out of Cuba. Because they
did the United States make them do that? No.
Control everything.
We headed into downtown Havana with the hopes that we'd shake off.
I've walked this road, Jet.
Off the two.
Look at this.
I walked this road with my cousin. Well, with my mom's cousin. So my second cousin? Years ago, back in 2018.
This is awful.
Communism only works when it's pretty much on a pack level, so a group of friends or a family, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, you can have communism. They're called communes for a reason, right? You can have communism in a small community where everyone shares resources because there's enough resources to go around. When you upscale that, it doesn't work because resources are not infinite. But people continue to produce more and more and more and more and more and more and more every year, which is why you have to split off for your own communities. You know, that's why, you know, you don't see things the same way, right? When you live out in the country, right? Versus when you live, you know, in the city. It's not the same.
This is terrible. It's just a complete shithole.
Spies that were telling us.
Yeah.
And I want you to notice the pure decay
Look
here.
at that.
The streets and the buildings
could be out
look
of
like they're about
Africa.
to fall apart. And this is
Oh, that hurts my heart, comparing it to Africa. The buildings are standing, man.
due to 50 years of
I'd say Africa is probably even better.
Yeah. There's nice cities in Africa. Like, not all of Africa is shitholes, Chet. Like, there are actually genuinely nice cities in Africa.
innovation inside of a communist country.
Oh my God.
We then went into one of the local markets to exchange some cash for some Cuban pesos.
And here in Cuba, they're inflation.
So, Nick Shirley is not going to explain to us how much his cash, his US dollars, are worth in pesos. You guys ready? This is not him doing it at the banks. If he does it at the bank, he gets actually an even worse rate. Okay? This is him doing it on the street with a guy. Okay?
Just hit really hard.
Rosa, would you want to live in capitalist Cuba? Maybe. I don't know. Depends who's the governor. Like, at the end of the day, that really just does depend, right? You know, I wouldn't want to live in capitalist California. I wouldn't want to live in capitalist Texas. Right? So, depends who's the governor, right?
Hard here, so their peso does not really go that far, so the dollar does go a lot farther here. In fact, the average salary of someone here for the month is $14 USD. So right.
You heard that, chat? This isn't the conversion rate. I got it wrong, but yeah, this is how much. This is what a Cuban makes in a month is $14 USD.
$14 a month.
That doesn't buy you medicine, chat. That barely buys you food. Yup. There's nothing capitalist about California. The elites bleed us dry and import people to replace us. Yep. I make that sitting on my ass for 45 minutes. Yep. $14 a month, chat. Now, tell me, making $14 a month, how the fuck do you think the average citizen that maybe doesn't have family in Cuba to send them money is going to afford food and medicine and just basic survival needs from the government markets that charge them US dollars? How?
Holy shit.
Now we're exchanging here on the streets of Cuba. and you get a
Oh
lot
my
better
God.
Better that.
for your dollar versus if you were to do it at the airport here in Cuba. How would you say life is here in Cuba?
Yeah. So wait, sorry.
$15 a month.
Did you were saying?
Holy shit.
Now we're exchanging here on the streets of Cuba, and you get a
Oh
lot
my
better
God.
price for your dollar versus if you were to do it at the airport here in Cuba. How would you say life?
Yeah. If you do it at the airport, the amount of Cuban money that you get for your dollar is different. By the way, chat, if you ever go to Cuba, chat, while it's still a shithole for some fucking horrible reason, you'd ever want to do that. If you exchange any of your US dollars while you're over there, spend them. Next time that you come back, you're gonna have a different currency. That money that he's holding right now in his hand, that wasn't the currency last time I went. That wasn't the currency. That's not what it looked like. So in order to maintain communism, chat, because people naturally will trade things, right? People, like, capitalism is innate in humanity. People naturally trade things. We've been doing it for fucking ever, literally forever, right? You trade things that you need for things that you want. Or rather, things that other people need for things that you need, right? Or things that other people need for things that you want. That's just normal, right? In order for you to maintain communism, you have to regularly recycle the currency. Because people will naturally create an imbalance. Because people are not equal. People do not hustle the same way. Right? And so, naturally, it's going to be an imbalance. Some people are smarter than others. Some people do things to try to make a little extra buck on the side. Right? And so, in order to maintain the quote-unquote equality, they have to literally, like, create a new currency. Like, every couple years, essentially. I didn't know this until last time that I went, back in 2018. I was like, why can't I just convert all my money into Cuban pesos and then just convert them back before I leave? And they were like, well, first off, you're going to lose a lot of money by doing that just because of the conversion rate, right? You're going to lose a lot of money. Second off, right, there's no, because I had money left over. I was like, oh, well, I converted this money and I don't really need to use it, so I'll just bring it back with me and I'll use it next time I come visit. And my cousin was like, no, just use it now. There's no point in converting it back because you're going to lose money. And, if you don't use it now, next time that you come, this money will be obsolete. You won't be using this money anymore. Isn't that crazy, chat? Can you imagine if, like, literally every year we just threw away the dollar and created something different? Did you fucking fathom that, chat? We had a new money.
This here in Cuba.
La situación está mala.
What do you think
The situation's bad.
Ustedes que vengan para acá.
You're gonna come here.
So, what he's saying, ustedes que vengan para acá, is you guys come over here.
Here. USA's gonna take Cuba.
Claro que sí.
Of course.
Claro, tú ven para acá.
Yeah, he said, absolutely, that's what's gonna happen. You come here.
¿Y te gustaría que los españoles toman
Would you
Cuba?
like the USA to take Cuba? Of course.
¿Y por qué?
Porque que vengan.
Why not? It's bad
He said, porque que vengan, because, let them come. Shit sucks here.
here.
Claro,
Everything's bad.
Man.
He said, of course, so I can work with you guys. The Cuban people want capitalism so bad. This is why Miami is so successful, chat. This is why, like, the rate of entrepreneurship among Cubans is so significantly higher than almost every other Latin American, like, diaspora, right? And it's the only diaspora that comes even close to, like, the Asians is, like, Cubans.
What's your opinion about communism?
Communism is bad.
Yeah, he just said communism is bad. El comunismo es malo.
Está mal, no hay comida aquí.
It's bad.
He said it's bad, there's no food here.
There's no
cambio
food
después
here.
de Maduro fue capturado.
Holy shit.
So that lady said, Maduro, don't come over here talking about that stuff. And this guy said, no, don't pull me into that. Don't pull me into that. is what he said.
They can't talk about it. It's kind of interesting to asking about these political situations that you could talk about in the United States completely freely, but a lot of people are timid, and you have to respect that because you don't want to put them in a bad situation. But people are very timid to talk about stuff politically here in the streets of Cuba. I mean, look at this one. You have
look at these beautiful fucking cars.
Coming down.
Chat. When I start, when I move out of here and I get a house and, I have a garage and I have a space to work, chat, and I start doing the smithing content, I also want to learn how to work with cars. That's something I also want to do on the side, additive to the smithing content. I want to learn how to, eventually, when I get good at both, I want to get good at, basic machining so that I can, buy, because lots of people out here in the country have these old cars. They're old people. They still have their cars from way back in the day, but they're all broken down. I want to, buy these cars for cheap. Does your dad own a garage? No, my dad owns a tire shop. My dad specifically works with tires. But I want to buy these cars, cheap, and then I don't want to restore them. I want to fix them up the Cuban way, which is just basically to, Frankenstein them to make them work. Because I think that'd be so much fun. That's something that, I want to get into later.
On the street right here.
Yeah, these are all old cars. Look at this.
These are all from the 50s.
These are cars my dad would be like, oh, I remember when that one came out.
This is just
look at this.
Here in Cuba, it's kind of weird.
All
the
from the
reason
50s,
for the old cars here in Cuba is because in 1959 is when communism took effect, and
you legally cannot produce cars without computers in them these days. I know, it's so dog shit.
The United States then later put an embargo on Cuba.
The entire car industry is designed to fuck you, the consumer. If you look at what John Deere's been doing for the last, decade, that's what car companies are trying to do here in the US. Ford's one of the first ones that's, turning around and betraying its entire consumer base.
Which stopped new companies from working with Cuba, so all they had left was cars from the 1950s and earlier. Innovation tends not to take place in communism because there's no incentive for an entrepreneur to go out and create something because he'll receive no benefit because the state,
the government takes everything.
The government controls what goes in and out, and also how much money you take from that underneath communism. So it completely kills entrepreneurship, which then kills innovation, and then you come up with a stagnant society like this one here in Cuba, where they have not developed any much further since around the 1950s. All these buildings here are still standing from the 1950s, but they have not innovated or there's nothing new here inside of this country. It's actually kind of...
Yeah. They're, when you go to Cuba, chat, it's like going back in time. Because literally nothing is new. The only things that are new are, some people out in, the countryside of Cuba will, build sheds and stuff for themselves because they have to. But, what Nicola was saying is true, is in order for you to have, communism is an inherently stagnant thing. Let's think about this on, on a family level, right? Let's say your family, comes upon a plot of land that it came into your family for some reason, right? You were gifted a plot of land, and now you can work off this land to survive and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. You can survive off this plot of land. But how do you get better machinery to improve your farming? How do you get, better, right? How do you get more goods for things that you need? How do you buy stuff that you need for your kids, for your grandkids? Because you're not just gonna be you and your wife forever. You're gonna have kids, right? Your kids are gonna have kids. How are you gonna help them buy things? Are they just gonna live on the farm forever? No. You have to sell things. You have to make a profit from the stuff that you're producing. So that then you can buy more things so that things can continue forward. Communism is a culture of maintenance, okay? You can maintain things under communism, sort of. In order to maintain things, you typically need new things. You can maintain them to a point. But that's it. That's all it is. right? Like, you need to have capitalism in order to move forward, because communism is inherently stagnant. A family unit, right, functions under communism. Everyone in the family pitches in together to ensure survival. That's the way, families work. Just like, for example, right, China, in order for that family to actually grow and expand its resources, people have to work. You don't just work at home, you don't just maintain the things you have at home. You have to actually work to have an influx of money so you can actually buy things. So you actually have something with which to trade. Right? That's the way that works. You don't have that under communism. That's what I was saying earlier. It's like, some of the best doctors in the world are in Cuba. Why? Because they're doing it out of just love of the game, bro. They're doing it because they actually want to help people. Right? I know a lot of people that go to Cuba to get surgeries. They buy their medication and stuff that they need here, and then they go to Cuba and they get it done over there. Because they just trust the doctors over there more. A lot of the doctors here in the US are fucking greedy as shit. Right? That's a huge problem. Right? Is that a lot of the doctors here aren't very good doctors. Right? They fucking did their fucking courses for their shit online. They don't actually care. They just want to make money. We don't really know what you have. We're just going to prescribe you 3 different things, and hopefully one of them works. Check, check, check. Everything you prescribe makes you money. Right? And so, that sucks. Right? Which is why, honestly, like, something I do give to the left wing, oftentimes, is when it comes to, like, healthcare and shit, I am, like, that's the one place where I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I don't care. Go full communism with it. Because if you want to go see a doctor in Cuba, you're going to be put on a fucking wait list. Because there's so few of them. Right? But I'd rather be put on a wait list to see a doctor in Cuba, right, who's actually a good doctor, and be put on a wait list to see a doctor in the US, because no one wants to go through all the years to become a doctor, so instead they become a registered nurse. They half-ass it, they get the job, they prescribe you random bullshit, and they move on with their lives. Now that doesn't say that there's, that there aren't good registered nurses out there. There are. Absolutely there are. I know multiple. Right? But it's a system that essentially enables people to just do things out of greed, not out of passion, and it leads to you having shit quality as far as your services. Which sucks. Hassan Piker, Nazi Cuban VTuber, admits Cuban doctors are better. Correct! They are better. Chat, if you want to hear, actually unbiased, perspective on shit, I'm your gal. I won't just, inherently side with one side because, woo, I love team sports. I love my team. Like, I don't care about that. I'm going to tell you the truth, even if it's not what you want to hear sometimes.
It's sad to see.
This man right here will explain just how dangerous it is to speak out against communism inside of a communist country.
How's life in communism? ¿Qué es la realidad? What's the reality of it?
El comunismo. Yeah. Esa parte ahí no.
Said communism. Damn.
Can't talk about that.
No te puedo contestar esa parte porque no. Vaya, no sé qué decir.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, you said, I can't really answer you that part because I don't really know what to tell you.
The people here no pueden hablar sobre el comunismo, hablar en contra del gobierno.
Aquí tú hablas en contra del comunismo y te meten preso. Te desaparecen.
You'll disappear.
La gente tiene miedo a hablar.
People are afraid to speak. If you speak, you disappear.
Pero aquí tú hablas y te desaparecen.
So if you speak bad about communism here in Cuba, you'll be taken to prison and you'll just disappear.
Te pueden meter.
They put you in jail for days.
¿Me entiendes? Te dan golpe y todo. Te desaparecen.
You'll disappear.
La gente tiene miedo a hablar.
People are afraid to speak. If you speak, you disappear.
Pero aquí tú hablas y te desaparecen.
So if you speak bad about communism here in Cuba, you'll be taken to prison and you'll just disappear.
Te pueden meter.
They put you in jail for days.
¿Me entiendes? Te dan golpe y todo.
Yeah, that is what he was saying. So you're saying, yeah, like they can put you in prison for days. Just for speaking up about it, and they'll beat you. They'll beat you, they'll take you to prison, they'll beat you, and they'll put you on the street. That's what they do, if they hear you talking about it. Which is, lenient compared to what they used to do, I guess.
Es imposible para hablar.
It's gonna be so crazy whenever we go to Cuba and we just pack them up. Like, I wonder if it's even...
Medical stuff is about the only part socialism is good for. Here's the thing, though. Even for medical stuff, right? Not all aspects of medical stuff is communism good, right? Because here's the thing. At the end of the day, R&D costs money. And then, again, resources are not infinite. So that's a big part of the problem, is just R&D costs money. Which is why I think our taxes should be should fund R&D instead of fucking foreign wars. I think if we actually put our taxes to fucking good use, we'd honestly be fine. Like, taxes should be spent on things that benefit everyone, not things that benefit a few people. Because everyone's paying taxes, right? And so R&D for medicine is something that makes sense to have our taxes pay. Like, duh. Because everyone gets sick. I don't know a single person on I've never met a single person on this fucking planet that has never ever been sick in their entire fucking life.
It's gonna take a week. I wonder if they're gonna just do what they did with Maduro, where they just get the main guy and then put him in a box, like in the U.S., or like if they're gonna go and go all the way in. I don't know.
Sobre comunismo.
No tengo nada que decir.
I don't have.
Yeah, she said, I have nothing to tell you.
Anything to say. Yeah, I bet.
What's super interesting about talking about communism.
I love his chat, by the way. All of his chats, like, she could take a visa from me. We gotta save Cuba. Balls deep. Bring her here. This guy says, my grandfather was a political prisoner in Cuba. They made him eat maggots with rice, called it protein.
Communism
I believe
here,
it.
inside of Cuba.
And because
taxes work the same way foreign aid does, we send our money to our government, and the government uses it for their interests first. Yep. Yeah, the system is not good. Individual doctors are good because they're doing it due to passion. That is correct. I'm not saying that communism has a good medical system. I'm saying that communism produces good doctors, good quality doctors. Because they're people that, get into those harder professions because they actually love the profession.
A lack of oil inside the country, there's constant blackouts that are taking place each and every single day inside of Cuba. And it's even affecting the education of the children. In fact, right now, inside...
This isn't new, by the way. Their power grid is, ancient and shaky as hell. Obviously everyone hears about, Havana and, the big cities, right? But there's places out in the country in Cuba that loses power for months and no one cares. That's super normal. Right? You have to remember, Cuba is in the Caribbean. They get hit by hurricanes all the fucking time. Literally all the fucking time. On top of that, they have a shitty power grid that doesn't work. Right? The Cuban people are used to being without power for months at a time. Normal.
Out of Cuba, the main university, the university that Fidel Castro attended, is currently shut.
What do you think of this university?
Down. And so right now...
That's the university?
Children and the...
That looks like a fucking zombie map.
University students of Cuba are having a hard time getting education.
Here's someone at my door. Give me a second, chat. I'll be right back. I have no fucking clue. Anyways, continue.
This is the National University of Cuba. I mean, This is a huge stadium. They have tons of seats, a track, and a football pitch, but It's all just has not been.
Yeah, the grass is fucking dead. It's a shithole.
Are all rusting and
oh my god.
¿Qué tal la vida aquí en Cuba? How's life here in Cuba?
It's alright. There are problems with transportation. You have no idea.
Yeah, he's saying like, oh, you know, it's alright. You know, like everything's alright. There's problem with transport and stuff.
The biggest problem for the youth. The biggest problem, the lights. Damn.
¿Cuántas veces al día se cortan la luz? How many times a day do they cut out the lights?
Almost every single day for an hour. So it's like.
So. He's not saying for an hour?
Yeah, the grass is fucking.
What?
The biggest problem, the lights. Damn.
¿Cuántas veces al día se cortan la luz? How many times a day do they cut out the lights?
Almost every single day for an hour.
So he's not saying for an hour. He's saying almost every day at any hour is what he's saying. At any hour, they'll cut his lights.
So it's like, yes.
This fucking chat trying to get the kid killed.
Yesterday for me, but every single day.
Yeah, how do you live through that as a young child?
Yeah, at any time, there'll just be no lights.
¿Cómo se vive eso mientras que está un joven?
Not very good. The lights, it affects studying as well. Yeah, you can't even.
I wish you wouldn't fucking read the goddamn subtitles.
Oh my god.
So the lights are affecting your entire life. Entonces los luces están afectando toda tu vida.
When it comes, sometimes it doesn't come back until the morning. Oh my god.
We left the.
Yeah, so he said like, you know, some like when they go, sometimes they don't come back until the morning, and sometimes it affects the entire, you know, like it affects the entirety of Cuba. It's gonna be a great governor of Cuba in 5 years.
University thing we could do, and that was to hop into a 19.
Wisconsin people love the blackouts. They celebrate and dance in the streets when it happens. Yeah, dude, they love it. I think Asmon is confusing the people of Cuba with the people of Miami. In Miami, they do that. When there's blackouts in the street because, you know, because there's hurricanes happening, right? People go out in the streets and they dance because they survived the fucking hurricane, right? Cubans are not afraid of hurricanes, Chad. I think I've said it before on the channel, but I have vivid memories of when I was younger, sitting out on the porch during a Category 4 hurricane, playing dominoes on the porch. Like outside.
50 Chevrolet.
Because we had no electricity, and it was hot inside the house, and we're like, we'll just go outside. Fuck it. We just sat on the porch and just played dominoes. I shit you not. We had a van parked in front of the porch so that, you know, nothing would like we would like hit us and stuff like that. Like not too much would get thrown at us, and we're just playing dominoes.
And tore the city of Havana.
How'd the dominoes not fly away? It's just not that bad. It's really just not that bad. I don't know what to tell you. It's windy, but dominoes aren't exactly like, you know, weightless. And again, we had like a van parked in front of the fucking porch, so like most of the wind that was hitting us directly was going around us, essentially, right? Because it was going around the van, then around us, right? Because we were right next to the van. But yeah.
Man.
With one of the local guides.
That's insane.
We did this in the hopes that we would have less people following us. However, it just brought even more attention to us when we got back.
I don't see how you can look at something like this and then not come to the conclusion that obviously communism is garbage. Like, I mean, very clearly this is garbage. Very clearly this isn't working. Duh, it's not working.
To the hotel.
And how come here you guys still use old cars from the 1950s?
Porque estos son coches tradicionales.
These are traditional cars from before the revolution.
Coches
1950, 1959, we worked for the government.
De patrimonio de la humanidad y trabajamos para una agencia del gobierno.
So you guys work for the government still?
The government.
Trabajamos
para el gobierno.
We work for the government.
And this is kind of a random question, but do you know what a Tesla is? ¿Sabe qué es una Tesla?
No.
This shit's so funny.
No.
Chat, last time I went to Cuba, my cousin thought that GTA 6 had a trailer come out in 2018, chat. And he showed me a video that he downloaded from a satellite. He showed it to me on his computer. Okay? This is how people get stuff in Cuba, by the way. They hijack it. They hijack information from satellites. Like they use satellites to hijack information in certain spots on the island where there's like signal. And then they download it. And he was like, yeah, I just got this video. It's GTA 6, right? And he showed me the video, and it was just footage of GTA 5, footage from Forza, footage from, what the fuck's that one bank robbery game? I forgot what the fuck it's called. Payday? Yeah, Payday 2. There was footage from Rainbow Six. Yeah, shit's funny. Like, they don't have a lot of actual information, like, entering Cuba. It's very, very difficult. A really common thing, if you've ever worked at, like, GameStop in, like, Hialeah, right? I say as if any of you would ever have worked at a GameStop in Hialeah. I have. You'll have parents coming in all the time and be like, hey, my child in Cuba wants me to buy this for him and send it to him. And she'll show you a picture of, like, you know, fucking, Mario and Shrek in Mortal Kombat. It's like, no, I'm sorry, ma'am, that doesn't exist. She's like, what do you mean? There's a picture right here. I'm showing you the picture. It's like, yeah, it's... So there's this thing called, you know, editing, this thing called Photoshop, where people edit images. It's not real. I've had to explain the existence of Photoshop to Cuban parents on so many occasions, chat.
Man.
A lot of Cuban people know a decent bit about cars, so I'm actually surprised he doesn't know what a Tesla is. Like, he's never heard, right? He doesn't have, you know, family that he talks about these things with. Maybe he wouldn't have heard of it, right? But a lot of Cuban people really care about cars. They have a really big car culture, obviously. And, like, a lot of people in Cubans are mechanics, which is why Cubans make such good mechanics in the US typically when they immigrate, because knowing how to fix your car is kind of just a day-to-day thing. And so oftentimes Cuban men will talk about cars with family they have at home. So I'm actually kind of surprised he doesn't know what a Tesla is.
That's sad.
Nunca he escuchado de un auto que se
Never
llama
heard of a Tesla.
No. BMW?
That one especially I'm surprised about, because BMW is a very old brand. Like, I can see Tesla, but that's hard to believe, actually, that they don't know what a BMW is.
Right now on Polymarket, there's a 45% chance that there's a...
Wait, what did Nick call it?
Man.
Right now on Polymarket, there's a 40 auto que se
Never
llama
heard of a Tesla.
No. BMW?
Yeah, he said BMW. If he had said BMW, ¿sabes lo que es un BMW? He might have understood.
Right now on Polymarket.
Does the government have sports cars, etc.? No, but people know about cars. People are interested in cars. And occasionally, tourists will actually bring in newer vehicles. So not all the cars you see are going to be, like, depending on where you are in Cuba, you might see newer cars. I'll give you an example. In 2003, my dad rented a brand new car, 2004 car. I can't remember what car it was. It was a Hyundai. It was a Hyundai that he rented out. This is a Korean car. Brand new Korean car that he rented out while he was in Cuba. My dad makes good money. Or at least, well, yeah, my dad makes good money. Here in the US, right? He owns a tire shop. And the way my dad describes it is tires are more important than medicine. Because, you know, they're more important than going to the doctor. Because if you don't have tires, you can't go anywhere. You can't go to the doctor. That's why he got into tire business. My dad rented out a 2004 Hyundai back in 2023. So, like, sorry, 2003. So, like, brand new of that year car. Which my uncle totaled. Because my uncle, right, he was a mechanic, he was a chauffeur, he was a taxi man in Cuba, and he loves cars. And so he had never seen a car like this, and he was dying to take it for its spin, so he did. And he ended up totaling it. We got into a huge car accident with me in the car, by the way. I remember this vividly. So essentially what happened is that my mom wanted to go see my grandma's family, right? And it was like literally like the day before they were supposed to leave, right? And so my dad obviously didn't want them to go, but my mom was being a cunt about it, like she is. And she was like, hey, fine, go. Fine, fuck it, go. Right? So my uncle, who wasn't on the insurance, went ahead and hopped on the car. And he drove them that morning, right? 5 in the morning, the day before we were supposed to leave. He drove, it was my uncle driving, my grandma in the front seat. In the back, it was my uncle's wife with their basically newly born daughter. And my mom with me, right? I was 3 at the time, I want to say. I was 2 or 3. Very young, okay? I think I was 3. And, my grandma's family lives in a really tiny little fucking, like, fishing village. Way out in the boonies. I'm talking like it's like a 4-hour drive, 4 or 6-hour drive to get there, okay? Just to give you an idea. It's the sort of thing where you go, you spend the night there, right? And then you drive back the next day, right? Not the sort of thing you do as a day trip, okay? And, like, when I say, like, it's out in the boonies, I don't mean, like, you drive on regular roads. Like, in the U.S., you drive on, like, back roads to get to places. No, I mean, like, you're driving through dirt roads for most of it. Yeah, you're driving basically through the jungle for most of it, right? On, like, little dirt road paths, okay? In just basically pitch fucking black darkness outside of the lights of your car. And essentially what happened was that on the way back, right, on one of the highways, not far from, from home, like, I think it was, like, 2 hours from home, 2 hours from Havana, where, like, my grandpa's family lives, my uncle crashed, and for the longest time, I remembered the car flipped on its side, because that's when I woke up. The car flipped on its side, and that was that. Apparently, what actually happened was the car rolled multiple times. I slept through it somehow, up until the last flip, right, onto its side. And it was completely totaled, and my dad had to pay, my dad had to bribe the cops. My dad had to bribe the towing guy. My dad had to bribe the people in at the fucking hospital so that he can get away from having to pay the entire total loss of this car. Because in Cuba, if you rent a car and it gets crashed by someone who's not on the insurance, right? You're not allowed to leave until you fucking pay for it. You're just not allowed to leave. And so my dad had to bribe the policeman, right, to put on the report that he was the one driving, not my uncle. My dad wasn't there. Like, they drove my dad from our house in Havana all the way out to the crash site. And the policeman was like, yeah, is this your car? Okay, I need to understand something. If, you're fucked, essentially. And so my dad had to bribe that guy to put him on the police report as if he was driving, right? They had to, like, basically beat him up, right? And scuff him up and, like, completely, scuff up his clothes so that he looks like, he was in the crash, right? My uncle had, like, a basically broken front, like a broken chin. And they had to, like, put him in a car and drive him away because he was drunk and angry and being a total fucking problem. So they had to drive him away so that he wasn't, anywhere near the crash. Right? The towing guy was like, I know you weren't in that car. So he had to bribe the towing guy, the guy who towed the totaled vehicle, because they have to take the totaled vehicle to the hospital so they can see it, so they can finalize the report and stuff for the insurance, right? So he had to fucking pay the tow guy to not say shit, right? And when he gets there, the nurse is like, you were in that car? That car? I don't know about that. So you have to bribe the nurse too. And everyone wants US dollars, Chad. Everyone wants hundreds of US dollars for this sort of shit. But yeah, they do have cars in Cuba. Like newer cars. At least they did. I don't know if they do anymore, but they did used to import cars specifically for tourists.
Market, there's a 45% chance that there's a clash between the U.S. military and the Cuban military. Do you think there will be a clash with the two militaries in 2026?
You like a clash? Like, I feel like that's such a broad term.
Eso es lo que pensamos muchos cubanos.
That's what a lot of Cubans think, yeah. Because we want the best for our country.
Para los niños,
for the kids, the schools, the hospitals, humble neighborhoods.
Los barrios humildes.
Yeah.
Que tengan una mejoría.
Yeah, I bet you do.
So do you think it would be good if...
That's not exactly what he said, but that's the gist of what he said.
There was...
My college professor told me that communism is cool, actually. Yeah, your college professor's a fucking retard.
Some intervention between the two militaries?
Your college professor would not survive under communism.
Sí, pienso que sí.
Damn.
Pienso que sí. Nosotros lo que queremos es tener la tranquilidad.
¿Qué piensa pasar?
All we want is tranquility.
But yeah, what do you think would happen in that war?
Bueno, no pienso que sea una guerra en total.
Oh, he says, here it says I don't think it would be a total error. That's not what he said. What he said is I don't think it would be a war in total. Like, I don't think it would be like a total
error. It would be an improvement for the people. Jesus Christ.
He just thinks it would be something better for the country.
Christ.
Para el pueblo, que es lo que queremos, una mejoría.
Because what's happened here in Cuba has not been good for the general public.
No está pasando bien. No está pasando, no la estamos pasando bien.
He's not saying it's not normal. What he's saying is like, yeah, like we're not having a good time. You know, we're just not having a good time here.
Que tengamos muchos problemas.
Oh no, yeah, he does say it's not normal that we have so many.
And what do the people of Cuba
economic problems
think about Donald Trump and Marco Rubio?
Bueno, no te puedo decir exactamente qué piensan las personas porque cada cual tiene sus distintos pensamientos.
So what he said was, I can't really tell you, what everyone is thinking because every person has their own individual thoughts.
Pero bueno, si es para
but it's
bien
good
para
for
el pueblo,
everyone, and us Cubans, may it be good.
Said if it's good for for everyone here, and if it's good for us, the Cubans.
Que para bien sea.
Then que para bien sea means that for good, I hope it happens. Essentially, is what he's saying.
Do you think it's necessary for things to happen here in Cuba? ¿Cree que es necesario que hay cambios aquí?
Sí, pienso que sí. Pienso que sí, muchos años. No sé, y todo el pueblo quiere que cambie la cosa.
Yeah, he said, yeah, I do think so. Many years, and the entire well, I mean the neighborhood. The entire neighborhood wants things to change. Always fun since under communism, usually intellectuals and professors are the first being sacked. Yeah.
And what would you say the reality of communism is?
Bueno, la
reality of communism is high,
sí,
and the other isn't.
Y pienso que
communism should make everyone equal. Yeah, well, everybody is equal. Everybody lives in a shithole now. There you go.
Iguales.
Perfect.
No uno sí, otro
no one's rich, nobody else.
Todo parejo.
And it's not like that. No es así.
Y no es así.
Right now, they say 7 out of 10.
Yeah, obviously, communism does not work, Chad. It just does not work.
10 people here in Cuba.
The reason why it's never going to work is because it is in direct opposition with the nature of humanity.
Wrong. The reason why communism is so easy to sell is because it is exactly how humans function. As I mentioned before, chat, families are inherent. They're communes, right? That's what family units are. Your friends, your family, your village, your tribe is a commune, right? Communism is easy to sell because it speaks to how we as people have functioned long before society existed. That's why communism is so easy to sell. Because as an idea, right, it speaks to our very nature, right? It's so easy to sell because of that. And if you're a fucking midwit, you don't stop and fucking think for a second, right? Where that would lead on a higher scale, where that would leave, where that would lead on a governmental scale, right? You're not going to think about those things, right? It's easy to sell because on paper, when you listen to it for the first time, it's like, yeah, all of us, everything is equal, everyone is okay, everything is great. It sounds like fucking heaven. Because that's what it is. It is an idea, right? It is something that cannot exist on Earth because in Earth we don't have infinite resources, right? That's the actual problem with communism. It's not people. It's not that it's not human nature. Is that there's not enough resources to fucking go around, right? That's just the reality of it. There just isn't enough resources. There's not enough land, right? Or there probably could be if we, got rid of all of it, but then we'd lose out on other things that we need, right? There's just not enough resources to go around. It doesn't function that way. It doesn't function that way. And again, this is going back to what I was saying before, how, like, there's a reason why the gap in prosperity, right, among rich and poor folk, right, is so significant. But specifically, chat, in cities. Because you have a lot of people crammed into a small area. It's not how people are meant to live. It's not how humans were ever meant to live. We're not meant to live crammed in small little cities, right? They're meant to live in small communes, small communities that share resources and work together to get ahead, right? The way that, like, small towns, right, in rural America function. They might not be the richest in terms of, dollar amount, right? But they're the richest in terms of actual goods, actual property, and actual, like, you drive around here in Alabama and you'll find lots of old rundown houses, people that can't afford to fix their shit. But they have shit. A lot of people are farm owners. A lot of people grow their own food and survive just fine. Right? That's the idea of communism. But it doesn't survive under communism. Because communism isn't you doing these things because you want to. Communism is doing these things because if you don't, we'll fucking shoot you. And that's the problem. You can't have, an authoritative control over people telling you that you have to share. It doesn't work that way. I don't like everyone. Not everyone's part of my family, my tribe, my people, etc. Right? And I don't think, not everyone fucking puts in the fucking effort to fucking deserve shit. I might, be willing to give some freebies to a family member because I love them and they're my family. But I'm not gonna give a bunch of freebies to some fucking random fucking G who comes here and is just like, I'm old there. Like, it doesn't work that way. I don't know that person. I don't care about that person. Right? I've got fucking neighbors up and down the street, and most of them are fucking assholes. Most of them are dog shit fucking people. Right? I live in one of the most ghetto fucking areas of the rural city that I live in. Okay? Because that's just where, that's just where I happened to move to. That's where Pei's brother lived. Right? And that's the opportunity I had to move in with Pei. Right? It's not where I plan to continue living. But, it's like, yeah. A lot of people are fucking lazy as shit. They just fucking hang around next door and they don't do fucking anything. They just hang out in the parking lot and fucking, do whatever the fuck they do. It's like, my hard work is not gonna go towards that person. That's stupid. And again, that's why, communes only function in small, tight-knit communities. Right? You know what's a great example of communism in the US? And how this, to be fair, this only works, I think this is really funny, this only works because they take taxpayer dollars. But if you get outside of that, if you look outside of their culture of constant fucking breeding, right, and having no fucks given about, about who they're taking from, the fucking Hasidic Jews. They do it. They're communists. Abso-fucking-lutely. They have loads of services that they provide for each other in those cities that they do for free. Right? They take care of each other. Because they're a tight-knit community. Right? That's because all of them share a belief, all of them share a value, and they all fucking, they all just agree with each other. Right? They all get along. But you can't do that among strangers. As much as, every wannabe fucking communist wants to pretend like he gives a shit about other people all around the world, right? Assad can pretend as much as he fucking wants that he cares about all of the oppressed people. But if he did, he wouldn't fucking go to Cuba and pretend like the oppressed people are actually happy about it. He's a fucking liar. He's a total fucking fraud. As every fucking communist is. Right? And so, it's kind of what I'm saying. It's just like, you can have a sort of sense of communism, right? In small familial units, maybe even at most, small towns or villages, or everyone works together, right, to achieve common goals, to achieve success for their town, their village, etc. But that's the hard cap. That's the limit. That is the very extreme of where you can maybe have communism succeed. It doesn't work that way on a larger scale. It just doesn't fit. Because there's just not enough resources, Chad. There's not enough resources to go around. In order for you to have advancement and have the money to pump into R&D and actually get society moving forward, get the ball rolling, right? So your society isn't fucking stagnant. Someone has to succeed. And if there's not enough resources for everyone to succeed, that means someone has to starve in order for someone to succeed. That's just the reality of it. There are not enough resources for everyone to succeed. And not everyone is going to put in the fucking effort to earn those resources to begin with. Sure explains why they keep getting ejected from places, because it's not because they were Jewish, but smug commies. Yes, honestly, unironically, yes. You have a group of people that inherently treat their own differently than others, don't want to actually cooperate with others, and are extremely greedy and prejudiced towards their own kind. Yeah, no one fucking wants them. Literally no one fucking wants them for that reason. And they act like that because it's according to their religion.
The nature of humanity is that people are not equal. So operating under the principle that people should have equal outcomes is a flawed principle to even begin with. So if your ideology is that everybody should have the same outcome, you will always create a system that fails because your system is being made in opposition to reality. That's the reason why.
That's true, but it misses the whole reason why it's actually even a problem to begin with, which is resources are limited. That's the actual problem with communism. It's not people, right? It is human nature to want to share with those that you care about and those around you, right? That is human nature. It's human nature to want to work towards goals together. That's the whole point of taxes, Chad. Taxes is literally fucking communism. Taxes is literally you being forced to give up part of your goods for the sake of the greater good of all. That's literally what taxes are. Taxes are inherently communistic. But again, there's a difference between having taxes and having full-scale communism. And there's also a difference between having taxes and having a government that just charges you for nothing. Anyways. I think, one of my favorite, speeches on why taxation, is a problem, and the way that we do taxes in a lot of first world countries is a problem, is, Bukele. Bukele had a speech about it, where he explained, it was when he was trimming down the government, when he was going in for after he got essentially, nominated again, even though he wasn't supposed to, according to the country's laws, and the citizens essentially voted to change the law so that he can continue to be their president forever. He did a big clean sweep of his government, just to make sure that no one was working for the cartels and shit, right? For the fucking gangs. And in the same announcement, in the same speech where he gave the announcement that he was doing that he was investigating his entire government, all the officials in his government, he also gave a speech where he was essentially he had this segment where he was talking about taxes and how the problem in a lot of first world countries with taxes is that the government's too big and it's taking up all the taxes just to pay themselves, not to build roads. And that's a big part of the problem, is the spending, the constant spending. We have so many people in the government that do fucking nothing, which is why I was really excited for Doge, and then Doge turned out to be a fucking nothing burger. But anyways, continue.
Are going without their necessary meals here. Would you say that's true?
Es real, es real.
You think communism managed by AI would work? No, because people manage AI.
El aceite, el arroz, los frijoles, la carne, el pollo, muchos problemas, todo se está yendo.
People are naturally committed. Communism kills it. It's not even that. Not everyone can buy food. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, not everyone has US dollars coming in from family in Miami they can use to buy food.
Para poder comprar los alimentos.
And was this happening before the blockade, or is this just now happening?
Sí, sí, pienso que sí.
Anyone speaks about universal income? Just because
this was happening before too.
I support a lot of social systems and other forms of social policies that can help people avoid going hungry and, you know, like losing their housing and stuff like that. I support a lot of that. But I think that if you are equating that with the way communism works in a country like Cuba, you have a fundamental misunderstanding of what it is.
Yeah.
So it's not new.
So there's a difference between people being generous and creating programs to try to help those that are in need, and people being forced at gunpoint to give up their stuff so that everyone can be quote-unquote equal.
New that this is happening.
No es nuevo, no es nuevo, no es nuevo.
For how many years have the people of Cuba been suffering?
Bueno, pienso que hace rato ya, pienso que hace tiempo ya que el pueblo está sufriendo por el tema del
For a while, they've been suffering with food and other things. They don't want to express it.
We
suffer because we fear the freedom of expression. Yeah, true.
Miedo de la libertad de expresión. Porque algunas veces podemos expresar algo que no nos puedan entender y nos perjudica.
That's how we feel.
Yeah, so he's saying that like a lot of people are afraid of free expression because sometimes we say things that get misunderstood and then they end up harming us.
When we get judged.
Por eso es que hay muchas
personas que no
talk. That's why there's a lot of people that don't talk. They're not only about being judged, but more so about being, you know, essentially like facing backlash or facing consequences for freedom of speech.
Yeah, something I have noticed when we have been talking to people is a lot of people are scared to talk about the current situation here in Cuba because of communism, essentially.
Hay muchas personas que no quieren expresar lo que sienten porque tienen miedo a cualquier tipo de situación, a que puedan ir presos, a que le puedan quitar las casas.
Yeah, so he's saying like a lot of people won't talk because they're afraid of any situation that can come their way, whether it be, you know, going to prison, you know, their house being taken away. Oh yeah, they'll just take your fucking house, chat. At the end of the day, your house is yours, but they own it. My grandpa built his house in Cuba. It still belongs to the government, chat.
Go to jail or get killed. There are people who tried to pass that problems with the government? Yeah, I bet.
I said there have been people that have expressed what they feel and they have problems with the government.
And how much does it cost right now for gas?
Ahora tenemos $10.
10.
I'm going to rewind the stream to watch from the beginning, but selling me on the idea that human nature is not to blame will be an impossible task, I'm afraid. Yeah, it's not human nature, bud. It's resources above all else. Human nature is simply to survive, and human nature, you know, inherently we want to share with those that are close to us. But at the end of the day, if there's no resources to fucking share, well, survival takes priority.
$1 a liter.
Y la estamos comprando
and we're buying on the black market.
And how much?
Holy shit! For this, we raised the prices on taxes.
What would be your message to all the people in the world about what's actually happening here in Cuba?
Queremos una mejoría. Necesitamos
we want better. We need better. Yeah.
Para que el pueblo esté bien.
And this is where things began to get really weird. As we arrived back to the hotel, this man began
all these fucking people
about what's actually happening here in Cuba.
Back to the hotel, this man began following us. He was all alone
and look at see, this is the thing. Look at how nice it is.
Look at this chat.
Is for all of the Westerners. It's like this is like your
we're getting really close, chat, to the point where
Mexican villa, right? Everything is not.
Yeah, we're a minute away from where I stopped watching. So from a minute from here, like from here out, it's gonna be stuff that I haven't seen yet.
Ice, the lights are on, all of that. The moment that you leave this, though, it's just a total shithole. Yeah, he's got Jason Statham after him.
As we moved, security noticed him telling us. We played it cool and left the hotel a few hours later, and after one interview on the street, we cut the web of spies following and monitoring everything I was doing as this man exposed the raw reality of Cuba unfiltered.
What happens at night?
So, real quick, chat, this guy, right here, you guys can see, he's dressed in all white. Okay? So this guy is essentially an initiate santero, alright? He is what is called a Iyawo. I-Y-A-B-O. Iyawo. So this guy is in his first year or so. It's like a year and like a week or something like that. Of being an initiate to become a santero. And once he's done with that, he has to go through like a ceremony, like a ritual, and he'll be a full-blown santero, and he can dress however the fuck he wants. But during this year of time, he has to wear all white, right? He has to wear hats. You know, he has to make sure that no sunlight touches his skin, essentially. Or he has to try his best and, you know, get as little sunlight as possible. And it's essentially, it's like a purification ritual sort of thing, right? So you can become a pure santero, a pure white mage, essentially, right? Is the idea. But yeah, this is part of Cuba's like religion, essentially. There's a whole religion behind it. It's not just, you know, like magic and witches and stuff. But yeah.
Time here in Cuba. ¿Qué pasa aquí en la noche?
What happens at night?
En la noche tú la ves así, que no hay nada.
At nighttime, there's nothing.
No hay nada.
There's nothing.
No hay diversión, no hay nada, no hay luz, no hay.
He said there's no entertainment, there's no light,
No hay agua, no hay nada.
There's no water, there's nothing.
No hay comida, no hay
music,
medicamento, no hay
food, no medicine.
There's no medicine, there's no food, there's nothing.
Yo no sé hasta cuándo vamos a ir así.
How much wrong we're gonna...
I don't know until when we're gonna be like
go on like this? Yeah.
Come in and have military intervention here?
Claro, va a salir
Clearly
de
to
esta
lead the
situación.
situation.
Por supuesto.
Yeah.
Va a salir de esta historia.
To lead the country? Holy
Que
shit.
no hay nada, no tenemos luz,
No power, no
tenemos
food, no
comida,
medicine.
no tenemos medicamento, no tenemos
We lack even the
la
most
primera
basic
necesidad
hospital necessities.
de un hospital. No hay nada, no tenemos nada. No hay un ser humano que pueda vivir así.
Can live like this? Oh my god.
Es demasiado.
And what would be your message to the rest of the world about the
just look around him. Like, everything is decayed and just complete. It's just a shithole. I mean, look at this. It's awful.
What's happening here in Cuba? ¿Cuál sería su mensaje a todo el mundo de la realidad de lo que está pasando aquí en Cuba?
Te estoy diciendo cuál es la verdad. El que te diga algo que no sea lo que yo te estoy diciendo es porque tiene miedo.
Yeah, so what he just said is anyone who tells you anything other than what I just told you is saying that because he's scared.
Pero es lo que está pasando todo el mundo. Mira esa vieja a mí.
Begging for food with her dog.
Yeah, look at that old lady begging for food with her dog.
Oh my god.
Que no tiene acá, mírala ahí.
Look at her, talk to her.
Mírala ahí. Dile ahí.
What is this?
Mira. Ven, mírala ahí. Pregúntale ahí.
Go ahead and ask her. You know, like look at her. She's begging for food with her dog. Go ahead and ask her how she feels. This right here, chat. This is the International Hotel. This is what this is. Right here. This is the hotel. So she's essentially begging to people that are coming out of the hotel, hoping that she'll get some food for herself and for her dog, and probably for her family.
Hola, señora.
What are you going to...
Todo lo que tú estás pasando.
Not with the...
Yeah, so he's like, yeah, tell this man everything that you're going through. And she's like...
The camera?
She's like, no, not on video, not on video.
People don't want to be on camera.
Ese es el problema que la gente no
Yeah, I
quiere
bet.
video porque la meten preso.
Yeah, they'll put me in jail. That's what she's saying.
Ese es el problema. El problema es
What's the problem? They
que
put you
nos
in
meten
jail?
preso
Yeah.
cuando salten por video. Si ahora tú publicas
You post this video, I'm going to jail.
Ahora si tú publicas ese video,
God damn.
yo voy preso. Preso.
Yeah, no, what he's saying right now is literally like you know, if you like right now, if you put out this video, I go to jail. Jail.
Vamos por eso.
What's your thoughts on communism? ¿Qué piensa de comunismo?
Lo más malo que
The
ha existido en
worst
la
thing
vida.
to exist. There it is.
Lo más malo que ha existido en la vida ha sido el comunismo.
Holy
Porque
shit.
realmente
In
ninguno
reality,
es comunista.
none of them are communists.
What do you
Exactly.
mean by that? Ninguna
Lo
es
que hacen
comunista.
es enriquecerse
They
y
get
explotar
rich and
al pueblo.
exploit
Lo
the
único que
people.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Isn't it crazy how the same
What's this? A Ginny stream while I eat dinner? Wonderful. Hello, Prime Night.
thing happens every
Also,
single
hello,
time?
Simon. I don't know if it's a hi, but hello.
Like, every single time the same thing happens. Wow. Surely there must not be a... Surely it's the United States' fault.
So, para ti, como no hay ninguna comunista, como que...
No, porque no hay... Eso no existe.
El comunismo es la igualdad del hombre por el hombre. Aquí eso no existe.
Equality for man doesn't exist here? Holy shit. They're the ones with everything. They have electricity. They have the nicest cars. They have oil. They have gas. Yeah. There it is.
Yeah, they have everything, and the populace has nothing.
The majority of the companies are theirs.
Why do you think they defend communism?
No
funciona.
No funciona.
It doesn't work.
El que defiende
the only ones defend communism are with the Castro family.
O alguien que le tenga
someone who's afraid of them, someone who lives off the government.
Que vive del gobierno.
Yeah, so what he's saying is because Nick asked him, like, why do you think people defend communism? He's like, no. The only reason why anyone defends communism is because they're either part of the family, right? Like part of the Castro family, or somehow involved with them, right? Because they are afraid to speak out, or because they somehow benefit. Their family somehow benefits from Cuba. They work for the government or something.
Who gets rich off the dictatorship. Many
is because they somehow get rich from this dictatorship.
Such
now,
cases.
In the United States, a lot of people think that communism and socialism is the way to go. What would be your message to them? Because they think capitalism has failed them. Mucha gente en los Estados Unidos ahora creen que comunismo y socialismo es la manera de donde deberíamos ir.
No.
No.
¿Qué sería su mensaje?
The worst thing you can have happen in life is socialism. Yeah, no.
Pasar al socialismo, comunismo, porque
yeah,
oh my God.
La gran mierda.
He did not say it's the great lie. That is not what he said. That is not what he said. He said the worst thing that you could ever do in your life is pass socialism or communism into your country because it is the great shit. That's what he said. He said it's la gran mierda. It's the great shit. He did not say mentira. He did not say lie. He said shit.
No existe el que te vea la miseria, la obstinación, el hambre, la hostigación.
Yeah, all he's saying is that, all it leads you to, it doesn't exist. All it leads you to is misery, hunger, anguish,
A todo.
Imagine your salary, you can't even buy cooking oil. It's pretty bad.
So what he's saying is, he's saying that with your salary, you can't buy cooking oil. That's not what he said. He said, imagine that with your salary, it's only enough to buy cooking oil. It's only enough to buy cooking oil. That's it.
How can you live
like that?
Like that? Well, they're dying. How can you live with a ration book that gives you 3 pounds of sugar and 1 of salt? Wait. You get 3 pounds of sugar every 15.
Yup. You get 3 pounds of sugar and 1 pound of salt, because that is what. So whenever you get in line, chat, to claim your food, you have like a rationing booklet, right? And they essentially sign you off for that month, so you can't come back and get back in line to get more. And that's the way it is for things like sugar, for salt, right? In really tough times, like the special period, that's how it is for even basic things like eggs. You'll get 1 egg a day, right? Or bread, right? You'll get not 1 loaf, you'll get 1 little roll of bread a day per person. In really tough times, they don't even give them to children. They only give them to adults.
Each year they give you a chicken and an egg. Eggs?
They haven't had eggs in a year.
Dude, eggs haven't arrived in a year. What, nobody can figure out how to grow chickens? What the fuck?
How to grow chickens. It's not that no one can figure out how to grow chickens. It's that there's very, very few places that have chickens. It's typically out in like the country, in these like really, really shitty villages. Like for example, my grandma's family, right? My great uncle, he has a ranch, right? His ranch used to be really beautiful way back in the day. But his ranch now has very, very few things. And here's the thing, right? It's not that we can't grow chickens. You can't breed chickens. Chickens need to survive in order to have eggs. You need to give them grain. If there's no grain, how the fuck do you maintain a chicken? You need grain. And nobody here owns a mill. So where the fuck are you gonna get grain? the government has to give you grain. Right? And if you do have chickens, you don't get to keep all the eggs that it produces. It doesn't work that way.
What the fuck is going on over there? This is insane. What the fuck do you mean?
Hace un año que no viene huevo.
Un año desde que no ha tomado un huevo.
Huevo tienes que
Eggs haven't
comprarlo.
arrived in a
El
year.
huevo tienes que comprarlo por la.
You have to go to buy the eggs from the private grocery stores.
Yep.
Pero el
The
Estado,
ration book the government gives you
ya no
nothing.
tienen nada. Yo no sé qué
I
significa
don't
la
know what
libertad.
it's for. It brings.
Yeah, he says he doesn't understand what the fuck the book is even for, because you just don't get enough to live on.
Oh my god.
There is no goods for you to get anymore.
The shipments you send to humanitarian aid.
This is what I was saying, chat. This is what I was saying. I found out about this from one of my cousins who lived in Cuba literally like 2 or 3 years ago. Okay, he recently arrived from Cuba. Okay, and we were talking about politics at my dad's house. This is when I went back in March, and he was literally telling me about this. He was like, "Yeah, the aid that you guys send, we don't get that stuff. They just sell it back to us. They sell it to us for U.S. dollars. No one can afford that."
Wait a minute. The shipments that America sends for humanitarian aid, they end up selling back to the.
Yep. Remember stories from Venezuela where the people ate the zoo animals? I mentioned before, chat, at the very beginning of the stream, like I've been to Cuba, right? I was not born in Cuba. My parents are Cuban. I'm first generation American. But I've been to Cuba, right, multiple times. I used to go to Cuba all the time when I was a kid, right? Back when, before things were really bad, before things got really bad, right? Here in the U.S., before we had our economic crash in 2008 and all that stuff, right? And hey, he's confirming what you said. Yeah, I know he is. Makes sense. But it's almost like I know what I'm talking about. It's almost like I have family that still lives in Cuba, And fuck, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I was telling you guys, I've eaten a cat before. So the neighborhood where my grandpa's family lives, they live on the hills, close to Havana. They don't live in Havana. They live close to Havana, and they have tons of cats in that neighborhood, and the people love them. Right? The people love the cats. Or rather, they tolerate them. They're just street cats. Everyone feeds them. Everyone keeps them alive whenever they can. Why? Why do people give, a little bit of their food to the cats? Because you can't fucking grow pigs, right? You can't raise pigs, that close to the city. There's not a whole lot of land. It's kind of difficult to have a pen and stuff like that, right? You can't raise cattle, right? And so the reason why is because when emergencies happen, well, the cats disappear. The cats, disappear, and Abuelita somehow managed to get some food. She'll tell you that she got it from, from some, she traded it for something, or she got it from a friend, or whatever, right? She'll make up some lie for how she got the meat, right? It's just cat. It's literally cat meat. I've had it. I didn't know I had it. Right? We season stuff a lot in Cuba. We don't we don't spice things the way that Mexicans do, right? A lot of places near the equator, chat, you'll notice that a lot of those places, they really love spicy food, right? And a big part of the reason why is because a lot of those places didn't really have access to salt, and so spice was how they tried to preserve things, essentially, and to hide the taste of when things started to kind of go bad, but they still have to eat it because it's all they have, right? In the Caribbean, right? The Caribbean was a trade hub for a really long time, so we had access to salt. And so we mostly use fruits and stuff that we grow on the island to season our foods, to make them very savory, very flavorful, sometimes a little sweet, a little tangy. That's the sort of flavors you'll get in the Caribbean. People are often surprised. They're like, Rosa, are you Latina? Why can't you handle your spices? It's like, 'cause I'm Caribbean Latina. I'm not a beaner. I'm a carabiner. It's different. Not the same. Okay. My foods are like my foods are like savory and sweet. They're not spicy. That's what I grew up eating bananas on rice. Okay.
What a shithole, man. Oh my god.
Not fucking, peppers on a tortilla.
Nosotros después, la ayuda nunca viene al pueblo.
The aid never arrives to
Lo que
new
tú
people.
traes nunca viene al pueblo.
By the way, do you see the reason?
Yeah, the stuff that you bring never arrives to the populace.
Now why so many of these people want us to give aid to these countries? It's because they support the governments and that they know the aid will enable the governments to continue doing this, that will feed their worldview.
Yep.
That's the reason why.
Yep.
Esa gente
Esa estuvo buena, ¿cuál? ¿Cuál, Atomsk?
que viene que están atrayendo toda
Gaza
esa
stuff?
ayuda.
Well, the thing is that, like, whether it's Sudan, Gaza, Guatemala, like pre-Bukele El Salvador, Cuba, Zimbabwe, they're all the same. Every single one is the exact.
In Cuba, it's the Cuban government, right? In war-torn African countries, it's local militias, it's local warlords, right? In the Middle East, it's terrorist organizations. It's all the same everywhere in the world. Very confused why they didn't pixelate his full body. Because lots of people wear this. Melissa, this guy is an Iabo. You can actually see there's another guy back there who's also an Iabo. Iabo. There's this guy back there. That guy's also going through his what do you call it? His like initiation essentially. Hey, if you ever see a guy in Cuba that's dressed in all white like this, chat, and he's wearing like a white hat, it's because they're going through initiation to become a brujo. Not a brujo. Ah, fuck. My brain. A santero. But yeah, that comes from the like Caribbean culture. It's mostly black people usually in the Caribbean, but that like practice this stuff.
Exact same. They all do the exact same thing because that's what people.
The point of the white garbs, right, and the whole trying to like avoid sunlight thing is essentially it's to like purify the body, right? Obviously, sunlight makes you darker, right? So it's to try to become lighter is the idea, and find purity.
People do.
So you can become a white magician and do your rituals.
We've been doing this for 20,000 years. That's the way it is.
Tú no la ves. Yo no sé dónde él entrega, pero esa ayuda tú no la ves.
Look at the woman in the lap. Yeah.
¿Qué sería su mensaje a Donald Trump y Marco Rubio?
She's recording
Donald Trump
him.
y Marco Rubio, estoy esperando
I am waiting for you guys. Guys, please.
Para ver si podemos vivir como personas.
Man. See if we can live like people.
Vivir como ser
to live
humano.
like a human.
Yeah, like Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, we are waiting for you guys to see if hopefully we can live as people, we can live like human beings.
To have necessities to live like a human.
To have the initial, the basic necessities you need to live as people, because right now we're living worse.
Because we are living worse than animals.
Yeah, right now we're living worse than the animals.
Peor que los animales estamos viviendo.
¿Cree que sería bueno que los Estados Unidos ayudan?
Claro, por supuesto.
Oh my God.
Do you think it would be good for the film to come? Like, yeah, of course.
Todo el mundo está esperando la intervención.
The whole world is waiting for the intervention.
What do you say of the argument that the blockade since the 60s? Surely countries would end up like this if they can't import anything?
It's like I said before. We would still fucking survive if we didn't import anything. We would still survive just off of, local trade. There's a reason why we don't allow, certain markets to come into the U.S. For example, like we don't allow China's car industry to come into the U.S. That's because having domestic prosperity is integral to being able to even trade in the first place. And so that's the problem. The reason why Cuba sucks. Oh, the Carabiner, yeah. The reason why Cuba sucks isn't because but but communism failed because it didn't get, support from your capitalism. It doesn't make any fucking sense, you dork. If your economic system cannot function on its own, that is your fucking problem. If you need to trade with a capitalist country in order to fucking survive, you don't have communism, you fucking idiot. The whole point of communism is that you all, take care of your resources together and blah, 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 blah. If you don't fucking produce anything, and you're just sharing your fucking resources, right? How the fuck are you going to, trade with other people? Aren't you anti-trade? Aren't you you're anti-capital. You need to have capital to trade. Idiot.
I think, though, why did the blockade cause them to put their own people in political prisons? Why'd they do that? Why can't they grow a chicken? And also, why
can't they grow a chicken?
Let's be pragmatic here for a minute, okay? Let's just be realistic here. Is it worth the suffering of all of your people for you to keep your ideology on life support and then take your entire country into a total fucking, a ghettoization of the entire country, millions of people displaced, millions of people starving, living in shitholes, living like animals, so you can keep the idea of communism alive?
Wasn't Hassan, I don't think. Who was it? It was the horse fucker. It was Vosh, I think, who once said that he doesn't care about anything as long as he wins, and he just wants communism to win. Is that the person I'm thinking of? That was Vosh, yeah? Or was it Destiny? It might have been Destiny. Hi, baby.
Hey, baby.
What's up, my love?
Can you unlock the door? It's 12.
Oh, yeah, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. Be right back, chat. I'm back. Vosh doesn't want to lose his principles as well. Div shoved that clip into any vid he could remember. It's Vosh? Okay. He wants to win as a socialist. Well, there you go.
At a certain point, Cuba should recognize its position. They're not going to be able to stop the United States. What they should have done a long time ago is just do whatever we said. That's what they should have done. They should have immediately rolled over, and everybody else in the country would be better off for it. But they don't want to do that, and it's because of ideology. It's more important for them to maintain this ideology and get all of their people killed than to admit that maybe they did something wrong. That's it.
Music and chat. I have some. I'm back. My wife just wanted a kiss. Wife isn't trusted with her own key. She has her own key to the house, chat. That is not true. She does, in fact, have her own key. She just doesn't take her keys with her. She doesn't drive to work. She walks to work. Her job is like 2 doors down. Yeah, so apparently in a debate, Destiny said, so you only care about the truth of a claim insofar as it advances your progressive agenda? And Voss said, yes, absolutely, 100%. Why would I care about it otherwise? Truth is only useful insofar as it corresponds to desired outcomes.
Baby?
Yes?
Do you want me to heat up your food from yesterday?
I would love that, actually, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Love you. Yeah, in case you ever needed any sort of, direct verbal confirmation that these people are fucking grifters. They don't actually care about anyone. They just care about winning.
Blockade was basically no communism or starve? Well, then why would they choose communism? Who chooses communism? And that's who chooses the decision of, well, let's see, do I want all of my people to be killed and starve and live in absolute poverty? Or do I
Hold on. If it's no communism or starve, think about that for a second. Oh, the U.S. made us choose between communism and starvation. Are you saying that communism can't keep you alive? Are you saying that it is when a retarded ass fucking lefty liberal socialist tells you that the reason why communism failed is because it didn't get help from a capitalist fucking country, they're admitting that the system doesn't fucking work. That's all they're fucking admitting. Their system does not work.
Want to change the government. Who does that? I'll tell you who does that. People that don't have to live like that. Because they're not the ones living like that. The people making that decision to continue this, aggressive, antagonistic relationship with the United States, where they're backing our enemies and everything. They're living in nice houses. They're rich. They're totally fine. So
this guy right here in chat. So I missed it. I think it was this guy. So someone said like Hassan.
They have no problem sacrificing the well-being for all of their people so they can maintain
like Snake Piker
this power structure. That's it. If communism's so wonderful, why aren't they self-sufficient? Because they're a shit.
Exactly.
Like again, nothing about look at the social laws they have. Look at the laws on expression that they have. We didn't do that. They did that.
Que la intervención que van a matar a la gente, no. Ya ellos saben los puntos claves, que saben que hay comité central, que hay punto cero, que sabe, todo el mundo sabe dónde están los catos. Ellos saben dónde están los catos.
So, what he's saying is that, it's like, yeah, obviously we fucking want intervention, and, everyone knows where the fuck, these people live. They know where the fuck these people live. What this guy isn't, being realistic about is the fact that those people live surrounded by fucking jungle. And they have lots of military outposts, out in the mountains and shit. Again, direct conflict, warfare, boots on the ground in Cuba will land us deaths. Needless deaths. It is fucking numb in there. The solution is siege. We couldn't do that in we can absolutely siege the fuck out of Cuba because it's not that big. There's only so many routes, things can take to reach the island.
Yeah, so probably don't even live in Cuba. Yeah. America bombed Cuba and helped the people. Hopefully they bomb some of the
Hey, what was it?
Hopefully they
Hold on, shut the fuck up a second, Asmon. Jesus. Something crazy is happening.
Yeah. Probably don't even live in Cuba. Yeah. America bombed Cuba and helped the people. Hopefully they bomb.
I think what this guy just said is, yeah, I also take pictures of myself.
Some of the
I saw
the main leadership.
Are you taking pictures of us?
Are you taking our photos? Man.
Wow.
He's getting roached out.
And film that lady. Get a shot of her. Wow. And
she's trying to roach.
This lady had spawned.
Yeah, so that lady who was out begging with her dog, this is another thing that this sort of thing breeds. Right? That lady's desperate. She's standing outside of the fucking the international hotel, right? Trying to beg from the fucking socialist retard fucking visitors that come to the country. Right? For the sake of, for tourism. Right? And she sees that this guy's running his mouth, right? To independent media, running his mouth about communism. She's taking her chance to try to make some money by selling him out. That's what she's doing.
Out of nowhere and began spying on us. For instance, look at it. She comes into frame right here, and then she hides behind the lamppost, and then all of a sudden she starts filming us, and then when she goes to the other side of the lamppost, she then begins to act like she's on a phone call. However, she continues to point her
She
camera.
maintains the camera angle directly at them. Yeah.
This is the thing, chat.
Towards
This is why people are afraid.
our direction. The guy I'm interviewing then notices that she's filming us. He goes and confronts her. And
Yeah, I'm sure this is also because of the United States.
Runs to the other
Communism!
side
Yay!
of the street. She then turns the corner and my security guard follows her to see where she goes. And who does she meet up with? She meets up with the man who was following us inside of the hotel. And after we had confirmed that we were being followed by Cuban intelligence and their spies were spying on us, we hurried back up to our hotel room and made a plan to escape Cuba.
She makes her way through the woods to him, and then he goes, no, like saying, don't sit here. Boom, sits there. So they're together, 100%. Come back to the hotel, buddy's there. They're 100% watching us.
Damn.
Option 2 is, there's no more flights out today. They're 100% on to us.
So you think we gotta leave tomorrow morning?
If we're gonna deal with the pressure at one point, which I think we're going to anyways, we do it trying to leave early at the airport where there's public eyes. We're in Cuba, we're in Communism, so this is a different ballgame for all of us.
Yeah.
Think we can get a boat tonight? I was thinking.
That's risky. Taking a boat? Try to understand something. People die. Every year, people die out at sea. They don't make it to the US. You don't ever hear about them. You never find out about them. People lose relatives. All the time. They go out to sea on their little makeshift rafts or their little dinghies or little boats. They don't make it across. They don't make it the 90 miles to shore. It's dangerous, easy to make people disappear, yeah. Disappear all the time. Sometimes they get intercepted. Because Cuba has boats. Cuba does have ships. You have a navy of a sort. But that's dangerous.
About making a call to see if we were to do that, how far would the U.S. Coast Guard need us to be? They're 1,000%. Yeah. So goodies and baddies.
Oh my God.
This is literally the North Korea of Latin America, and we have.
Yeah. What he's saying right now, like how far the U.S. like they'd have to make sure to have a U.S. Coast Guard out watching, because they will chase you out. They will chase you.
Spies on us.
Jesus.
100%
Yeah, this is all because of America. Yeah, doing this, like, and think about this, right? You're investing time and energy and resources into doing this. This is what they think is more important than actually taking care of their people.
I started to realize how fucked they are, yeah. But yeah, that's the thing, Jack. It's like if communism was so fucking great, we would hear about it all the time from the locals, but we don't, do we? Who do we hear about it from? We hear about it from, you know, from the Cubans in Miami, who went through it, who have family that are still there, who are still in talks with those people. We hear it from the Vietnamese people here in the U.S. who escaped Vietnam. They're still commie in Vietnam. They're still socialist over there. Right? That's who you hear it from, Chad.
We're not there. I'm 100% convinced.
Yeah.
But if we grab our bags right now, we make an escape, they're going to say, hey,
So doing China too. The thing, here's the difference between this and
I knew Hassan didn't have this issue, Lamau, because he was glazing the shit out of them. It's not because he was glazing the shit out of them. It's because he was literally paid there to be propaganda. He stayed at a government hotel. Right? To be fair, I'm pretty sure they're staying at a government hotel too. But, because they're quote-unquote press. Right? They're coming in as a independent journalist, whatever. But yeah, it's just like, dude, like, Hassan had government escorts with him. Chinese lady that escaped China's base, I think her name was Lily Tang. Yeah, that sounds familiar. But yeah, like, it's just like, yeah, they Hassan is one of those people that doesn't care about the truth. He just wants to fucking win.
China.
That's the sort of person you have to be a fucking communist. To be an actual, genuine communist, knowing fully what the fucking... You have to either be ignorant or evil. There's no in between if you're a communist. Is that my food? Ooh, it smells good. Goddamn. You bring me ketchup for the fries? I didn't even have ketchup when I was over there. Yeah? I'm go. Wife has brought me food, chat. Oh, my wife. I'm so grateful, my wife. Chat. If you want to help me keep a roof over my wife's head, consider dropping a dono. We are behind on weekly. I mean, chicken wraps? That sounds so good.
Generally, and also, by the way, China's communist? Oh, right.
Yeah, China's not communist. China's fascist.
You know, they're selling these, like, there's billionaires in China. They have these massive houses. People are riding around in sports cars. Right. Yeah, it's so communist. Yeah. And so, like, the reason why I think that people put up with it with China is because, really, because to the extent that they are, I mean, they are to an extent, is because it's not a shithole.
Why is it not a shithole? Why is it not a shithole? It's not a shithole because it's not communist. They're fascist. They still buy and they still trade and they still do global commerce. That's why. That's literally all it is. They don't sustain themselves in China. Why do you think China's, like, has their little fucking Chinese little fingers in everyone's fucking pocket? Why do you think they're trying to buy up land in South America? Trying to buy up land in the US? No reason? Why do you think China's trying to get into Canada's markets? For no reason?
It's not. You look at the fucking towns in China; they look nice. At least, I mean, I'm sure there are places in China that are like this. I'm sure there are, but for the most part, you at least have a better quality of life. They have eggs there. Okay, they have eggs.
For the record, China doesn't fucking import people. China doesn't import the third world. They're extremely fucking racist. They share, you know, a collective value, right? And they have a, you know, they have a shared identity. We don't have that in the US. And that's a big part of why I can even get away with it. Before China embraced capitalism with Deng Xiaoping, they were the communist dreamland, the biggest human-made famine and genocide in human history. Yep. In a world that's against nationalism, love for one's country, China is super nationalistic. Correct. China is extremely nationalistic. Almost like they're, you know, national socialists. Just a thought. You know who else is extremely nationalistic? Russia. Almost like they're national socialists. The same thing. Russia and China are both fascist countries. That wouldn't have happened if you were patient. Or if you told me what you wanted to do. I thought you were gonna feed it to me. I was so excited. Mwah!
Eggs.
Ask any group of people in China that isn't ethnic Chinese how great China is. Yeah.
Shut this whole bitch down,
And to make things even worse, Cuba was having their May Day march just outside our hotel in the morning. So all around the hotel,
I think they have eggs.
Military and Cuba government was surrounding the hotel, protecting the streets for the march the next morning.
Yeah. My thoughts. So tomorrow they're gonna have the march for the May 1st march. It's a big march. So it starts at 6. They're either going to come for us by 3 or 4. So we have to be out of here by...
By the way, chat, Cubans celebrate the month of March. Because March is the month that they were liberated from Spain. Cuban Independence Day is actually my birthday, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that. October 10th is the anniversary of the beginning of the War of Independence. And then, yeah, May 20th marks the day that Cuba officially became an independent republic, ending centuries of Spanish rule. So yeah, May 20th, that's my birthday.
Then, and whether that's us bouncing on the city in a pair of 2 and one off on their own, and maybe I'll meet back up, but we have to distract them enough by the time it's our time to board on the airport at 8 a.m. They're too occupied doing this march thing.
We took a bit of a risky move and headed down to the lobby to act as if we had no idea they were spying on us and act very casual, so security puffed on some Cuban cigars, I drank some water, security chatted up with some of the people working at the hotel, and then we went back upstairs and barricaded ourselves into the hotel room for the night, and then at 4 a.m. we made our attempt to escape the hotel.
Alright, 4 a.m. now, we're in the elevator, we're heading down to the bottom lobby, and we're making our way out. Right now, the people are gathering on the streets. We have one of the security guards down the bottom, making sure that it's clear for us to walk out of the lobby right now. And now we're heading out, getting on a taxi, and making our way to the airport.
Time to roach out, yeah.
One of the security guards was stopped by someone at the hotel.
Seems like it worked.
No idea on the floor plan, but I would have went out the back door. That would have been difficult.
Asked why we are leaving the hotel early, and she would not let us leave. They were stalling for some reason, and then when we did try to make it out to go get a taxi, the guy barely let us out the door, and then when we got out to get a taxi, they called us back in.
We're running into some complications here. Just trying to get out. They're asking why we're trying to leave the hotel early.
Immigration police.
Oh boy.
And they took us into the back room of the hotel, and we had a meeting with a 2-star general who interrogated us for 10 to 15 minutes about why we're trying to leave Cuba, what was our purpose of our travels, what kind of questions we were asked.
You saw the 2 stars, right? Yep, there it is. That's nuts. 2-star general.
Asking the people on the streets what kind of footage we got. The general then said we could go, and he said they would get us a taxi to the airport. However, we waited for 5 minutes and there was no taxi. We thought we were about to get set up, so we left the hotel and set off on foot to escape Cuba.
As soon as we made it down to the hotel lobby, they had their guys down there. We had immigration, and they brought us in for an interview. Gabe, so what's the current circumstances that we got going on right now in Cuba? We're trying to find a taxi. We've left the hotel. We're a few miles out now. No taxis are anywhere. How are we getting out of Cuba?
So, number one, second we got downstairs, we had, what you want to call their undercover police, walking through the lobby, just playing it cool, acting like there's nothing. Once you and I came downstairs, and you guys made your way out to the front, 2-star general came out of nowhere, and
that's insane.
He asked as politely as possible, but with firm action, like, hey, I need to sit down, we need to talk to you guys. And then he realized that he was pressing, so he's like, hey, could you just bring in your friend so we could talk? And I was like, oh, what's going on? And he goes, I would want to talk inside. That's when he came outside to the outside lobby. I was trying to just engage the conversation there, and he said, I would like to talk inside.
Why check out and just leave? Not that easy. At that point, you're like committing theft and stuff, and then you're actually a criminal, and they have reason to actually come after you. Not just, bullshit down, on the down low. We're coming after you stuff, but like, you committed an actual crime at that point, and then they can actually justify it. You. Because they will catch you. Get on the boat, boys. Gabriel, get your family here. It's $600. Get me a boat, hombre. We're sailing from Miami. At that point, they're already planning to steal a boat to get out, were they?
We had our conversation. Now
I think they're planning to steal one.
They let us leave, and now we're on foot.
That's actually surprising they did.
And the hospital. And we got about another 1.5 miles to the airport, 2 miles. So we're on foot.
My man, a kid's full of shit doing the whole escape thing for views. Why do you think that it's bullshit? Why do you think that? Yeah, what makes you think that? Yeah, what's the reason? What are they going to do? Disappear a bunch of Americans? Yeah, they could probably hold them there for a while, maybe torture them, maybe hold one of the guys, but then let the other ones go. Yeah, sure. Or they could also take their stuff, beat them up. They could do a bunch of stuff. I mean, maybe they're not going to hold them hostage for like 5 years, but they might hold them hostage for a week. They might hold them hostage for a month. They might, Here's what
they'll actually do. They'll confiscate their cameras the way that they did when they first entered the country. All their footage, all of it. That's what they would do. That's it. That's all that they would do. They wouldn't beat them up and put them in prison or any of that shit. That's stupid. These are Americans. You can't do that to Americans. They would confiscate their shit. The same way that they already did when they came to the country.
Abuse them.
Largest humanitarian crisis in and gas from coming inside
from communist and socialist
out of Cuba after their intelligence visa for journalistic activity. However, once I landed, all my camera gear was seized, and within 24 hours, I was planning my escape out of.
Yep, all his camera gear seized. That's all they would do.
I mean, maybe they're not going to hold them hostage for like 5 years, but they might hold them hostage for a week. They might hold them hostage for a month. They might, like abuse them.
This chat is like you Sterling
they could have sent to family.
Yeah.
I'm confused by what you mean by that. I'm confused. I mean, do you think that the government doesn't do that? Like, so what do you think happens? Like, let's say, like, you go to Cuba. Why don't they have any more video of them with the general? Why do you think they don't have any more video with them with the general? Why do you think? If you had to guess yourself. Okay.
Like holding the camera at their side. Bro, how fucking retarded is this guy? Why don't they have any more video of them with this general, like holding the camera at their side? Are you fucking retarded? Like, holy shit. What an incredibly fucking stupid person.
So what is this? They didn't search their phones because if it was a big deal, they would have just taken them. I mean, earlier they could have sent them all the earlier home videos. Someone would have come up and seen them missing. Seems like a big drama feast in the end for views. The rest seems legit. I think you underestimate how dangerous these governments can be. And also, like, you don't know what they would have done. Why did they not do that? Maybe they didn't have reason to suspect that they had to do that. Maybe they hadn't fully investigated it all the way. Maybe the reason why the guy wasn't there is that they were trying to figure it out. Like, how do you, like, you're trying to understand what their thought process is. I don't know what their thought process is. But everything that they've shown shows that, like, I mean, what do you think, for example, right? Like, let's say you go to Cuba and you start.
They said, wait here, we're gonna get you a taxi. Why the fuck are they getting a taxi for these random ass tourists? Taxis aren't free. Why did the government suddenly show up to see these guys in particular? Right? Interview them, and then tell them they were going to do them the favor of getting them a taxi. Why? For what reason?
Talking about how bad the government there is at Cuba. What do you think happens? Yeah, what do you think? I can see how the kid scares, feels grounded, feels refused. Yeah, you've said that 3 times now. What do you think happens? Like, you go to Cuba and you express negative sentiment about the government. Hold on. So I'm asking you, like, let's say you're an American citizen and you express negative sentiment about the government and you're in Cuba. What do you think happens? Like, this is it, right?
You get deported!
So you express it, but what are they going to actually do to an American citizen outside of you holding you or taking your phone? Well, there's a lot they could do besides that.
They don't have to do anything else other than hold you and take your phone. That's all they need to do. Send you back with no proof. Yeah.
Right? I mean, they could beat you up. They could put you in...
You're saying, like, oh, what if you sent those videos to family? Here's the thing. This person doesn't understand that you don't just have internet when you walk around the street in Cuba, right? There's no cell towers giving you, you know, your 5G. It doesn't work that way. If you want to send something to family in Cuba, you need to go to a park, a local public park, okay? That happens to have access to internet. And then you need to pay. You need to pay for a little card, okay? A little card that gives you a certain amount of time that you can use the internet. But you don't have total internet access, right? Your internet access is limited. And everything that you do on your phone is watched, it's tracked. If you want to get those videos out to family, it's not as simple as just, oh, let me just pull out my phone and just text my mom back in, you know, back in the US. Let me just text her the video. Chat, last time I went to Cuba, I had songs downloaded on my phone or Spotify, okay? Downloaded on my phone, as in I don't need internet to listen to them. I couldn't listen to my fucking music in Cuba, chat. Why couldn't I listen to my music? Because I couldn't fucking connect to Spotify to fucking listen to fucking music. There's literally no service. There's nothing. Would he have Elon Starlink as an option? No. Do you want to know why he wouldn't have had Elon Starlink as an option? Because the second that he fucking walked into the fucking doors at the fucking airport, they would have been like, what the fuck is this thing? And if you explain to them, well, it's a fucking satellite. It gives me internet access. They would have been like, oh yeah, you can't have this into Cuba. And they would have taken it away. This guy's right. They're not gonna beat him up. They're not gonna kill him. But they're gonna take his phone. And he could not have sent any of this information, so he would have returned back empty-handed. There would have been no video. And that's just for recording. If they had left the hotel without checking out, could have gotten them for more. Empty-handed at the cost of a few people's lives? Yeah. That's true, because everyone in that footage would not be edited. That footage would not have, you know, faces blurred. Everyone in that video who said shit would go to jail. They would be fucking jailed. That's who they'd actually punish for this. Not the American. The American would go home with a slap on the wrist. And, you know, missing a bit of stuff. If the Starlink was, like, small, doesn't matter how small it is. They're gonna check your bags. When you go to Cuba, they check everything that you bring. Everything that you bring. Doesn't matter how small it is.
Jail, they could starve you. They could torture you in different ways. I mean, there's tons of ways that they could do. That are not killing you. I mean, killing you's the obvious one, right?
They won't do all
that. Like, even beyond that. They'll put you in jail, yeah.
They won't do all that. For an American.
I mean, is that outrageous? Arrest you and your friends, and then America gets involved. Their families are gonna see... are dozens of other things that would have been, but I'm not a content creator. if you were recorded when you were in that city, your feelings on this and the way that you would have approached this is probably the same. Anyway, we move on. Wasting
Hopefully
time.
we can get a taxi at some point if we don't get squeezed in before.
And there's no taxis out right now. That's a bit of a problem right now. The streets are
it's 4 in the morning.
Empty, and everybody's going the opposite direction.
By the grace of God, we found one taxi driver in all of Havana.
One guy.
To take us to the airport.
Wait,
the problem? It's a tricycle that only goes 10 miles per hour.
Yeah, this is their taxi, chat. It is a tricycle. That's been like modified.
We got our taxi.
Fucking base. There you go.
This is our taxi to the airport.
Look at that. Look at that. That's insane.
We're gonna get into to make it to the airport. This is our taxi we have right now. It's the only option we had available. We're gonna try to find another car taxi because this is taking too long to get to the airport. And our flight's gonna leave without us. And right now we currently have the entire government of Cuba onto us, knowing that we're trying to leave the country.
Man. You should ride one of those, bro.
We were able to get another taxi. We've been in this taxi for the past hour or so. Suns came up, finally made it to the airport, and now this is our last stretch in order to get out of Cuba. They might press us one more time inside the airport, so we don't know exactly. We're not out of here for certain, for good. They might make one last push at the airport. They could either ask us some more questions or not let us board our flight. They do have all my camera gear inside the airport right now, so we have to get all of that.
Yeah, I bet how. Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work.
Everyone's on the know that we're trying to leave Cuba right now. We'll see if they let us board our commercial flight.
Yeah, you see, like it's bright outside.
And now I had to go get my camera gear that they had seized just 24 hours before.
Damn.
They questioned me for another 30 minutes. They then took one of my security guards, questioned him as well, and then they ended up letting us get onto our.
Oh my gosh. Muchas gracias.
Man.
Gracias. Oh, we're making it onto the plane right now. I've never been so happy to make it onto a plane.
I got pulled up by two guys. They wanted to do the smooth approach, like, hey, what's going on? Why are you guys here? Why are you guys leaving so soon? You guys got here yesterday. After going back and forth, and I was done with the small talk already. I was like, bro, something's gonna happen, let it happen already. And he's like, I'm like, listen, we had a 2-star general at our hotel at 5 in the morning. You guys are here now. We were pressed all day yesterday. What's up? And he's like, even the president knows that you guys are here.
The president of Communist Cuba knew that we were here.
He knows that we were here. Facts.
Damn.
They know. They've been watching us all day. They know that we're here. So.
You might not see 3 more happier men in the world right now.
Oh my God.
Feels like Christmas morning. Oh yeah.
Made it out. Oh my gosh.
People are saying it's bullshit reporting. These are the same people that were saying that the Minnesota stuff was bullshit.
Yep. I can totally see the people at the airport letting them go. Not everyone that works for the military. My grandpa disagrees. My grandpa sees anyone that wears the green as a traitor. Not everyone in the military does it because, you know, they hate people. They just want to survive. I can totally see people letting them go and being like, yeah, go ahead. Pretend I didn't see it. Everyone wants to make a buck. I'm surprised they didn't bribe them. Oh, they probably did bribe them. They just left that out of the video. But a little bit of USD gets you a long way in Cuba.
These are the same ones. And the reason why they're saying that is they want to downplay the bad actors and the bad behaviors of communism and communist governments because they agree with them. All they're trying to do is run defense and run cover for something that they are ideologically aligned with. That's the only reason. W. Nick Shirley? Yeah, I know. And I did say, listen, guys, listen. I could fuck around for a lot longer. I could do plenty more, but I did promise you guys I would try that game. And
yeah, chat, I could keep talking about stuff, but I did promise you guys that I'd play some Skyrim. Anyways, I do hope you guys enjoyed listening to me go over this. I'm gonna go spend the last 15 minutes that I can with my wife before she goes back to work for her second shift. And we'll do some Skyrim. in about an hour. If that sounds good to you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed me covering this. I watched the first half of the video just by myself, and I was like, Asmon has said a few things that I disagree with, that I think are wrong. And also, that was just additional insight that I felt like I could give that Asmon can't. So, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to that. You know, I guess getting the perspective of someone who has been there, you know. But yeah, with that chat, I'll see you guys later. We'll be back to just doing videos and, you know, video games instead of, you know, React slop stuff. This is just something I really wanted to get off my chest, I guess, something I really want to get into. It's something I'm particularly knowledgeable about. But, yeah, I'll see you guys later. Love yous, chat! Toodles!